Recording in progress.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the October 8th, 2024 Millbrae City Council meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order at 7:06 p.m. City Clerk, would you please do a roll call?
Councilmember Snyder.
Present.
Vice Mayor Pappen.
Here.
Mayor Fung.
Here.
All members of City Council are present.
Thank you so much. And for those who are able, would you please join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Please be seated. And we begin this evening with the ceremonial and presentation. We start with proclamation proclaiming the month of September as National Service Dog Month. And we have here tonight our service animal and our Officer Ben joining us in this evening. We're thankful. And also his handler, which is a school resource officer, Daniel Martinez, and then we'll get to that in a second. And Vice Mayor Pappen, would you please do the honor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and apologies to those who requested this. We're a little late, but never late enough here. So the City of Millbrae Proclamation. Whereas service dogs are trained and dedicated champions providing essential support and independence to individuals with physical, sensory, psychiatric, intellectual, and other disabilities, improving their quality of life. And whereas these loyal and skilled animals assist in daily activities, alert their handlers to medical emergencies, and offer emotional support, significantly enhancing the mental, emotional, and physical well-being of their owners. And whereas service dogs help to break down barriers, ensuring that those with disabilities can participate more fully in all aspects of life, for work and education, to travel and leisure, and the dedicated trainers, handlers, and organizations that work tirelessly to train and place service dogs. Dogs deserve recognition for their efforts in transforming lives through these remarkable partnerships. And whereas service dogs represent the profound connection between humans and animals, exemplifying compassion, trust, and teamwork in their roles as both protectors and companions. And now, therefore, we, the members of the Millbrae City Council, do hereby proclaim September, sort of into October, 2024 as National Service Dog Month. So if we would like to say something on behalf of your partner.
There you go.
Thank you.
Please join us at the podium, Officer Ben.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Danielle Martinez, and I'm a school resource officer with the Sheriff's Office. And this is my partner, Ben. Ben is a about 17-month-old golden doodle, and he works with me in the schools. So he has a very important job and a role in our community. Not only does he build and strengthen our bonds within the community, but he makes everybody's day a lot happier. Whenever we work together, it's a lot of fun, and it's always nice to see smiles on the kids' faces and the community members that we meet. He loves meeting new people, so if you ever see him around in the community, please come and say hi. You might see his two younger brothers, Teddy and Maverick. Teddy is assigned to Millbrae and San Carlos, and Maverick is assigned to our Half Moon Bay coastal communities. So please, come say hi. They love to be pet and love to be spoiled, and we love serving our communities. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. If we could get a photo here too.
Give a photo with Officer Ben and also Officer Martinez. That was delightful. Okay. Next up is the proclamation proclaiming the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And we have tonight Duffy Milligan, the board chair of CORA, joining us this evening to accept that. Councilwoman Nan Schneider, would you please?
Thank you, Mayor. More than 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 men, and 1 in 2 transgender individuals experience some form of physical or sexual violence and/or stalking by their intimate partner in their lifetime. Whereas the marginalization of certain groups in society, including undocumented individuals, transgender individuals, and people living with disabilities, increases their vulnerability to domestic violence. And whereas there were 8,275 requests for service through Community Overcoming Relationship Abuse, CORA, a 24-hour crisis hotline, and law enforcement referrals last year, and 2,378 adults and teens received community education on healthy relationships and the impact of intimate partner abuse. And whereas in San Mateo County, 94 adults and children were provided with emergency shelter and 76 households were provided with longer-term rental assistance to escape their abusers last year. And whereas 485 adults and children received therapy to help them with domestic violence-related trauma, and CORA fielded 1,925 requests for legal assistance. And whereas the City of Millbrae and San Mateo County recognizes the critical need for countywide services in order to support our residents, and whereas intimate partner violence continues to be among the most underreported crimes in Millbrae, and Millbrae, along with San Mateo County, is committed to eliminating all forms of intimate partner abuse. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Millbrae City Council, do hereby proclaim October 2024 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And if you would like to join us, for everybody out there, domestic violence can occur to anyone. I hate to admit, because I'm a strong female, I was a jock in college, I'm strong, but I had a psychologically abusive partner, and it took me years to get out of that. And I am grateful for the assistance I received for a similar entity in Santa Clara County. So what we want to do is make sure that you know that there is help out there, and it's okay to ask. Please join us.
And thanks for joining us, Mr. Milligan.
Yes, hi, I'm Duffy McGilligan. I'm the board chair of CORA for this year, and I want to thank the council for recognizing CORA and helping to shine a light on the people who are trying to help some of the most vulnerable people in our community. CORA has had a great partnership with the City of Millbrae through our Speak Up program, where CORA staff come to small businesses in town and help educate them about what signs to look for so that we can give help to these people who might be reluctant to come forward and look for it. So we've had a great partnership in the past, and we look forward to building on that partnership in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you define CORA for us?
Excuse me?
What CORA stands for?
Like the acronym?
Yes.
Community Overcoming Relationship Abuse.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. And thank you for joining us this evening, and we'd like to have you at the podium.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, the fundraiser, is it coming up?
Yes. So, Mr.
Do
Mayor,
you want to say a couple
Yeah,
words
go
about
right
it? Go ahead and make the pitch.
So this Thursday night, October 10th, at Green Hills Country Club, we'll be having our big annual fundraiser. Supervisor Noelle Corzo is our keynote speaker. So we're very excited, and we would love to see anybody there. So thank you.
All right. Thanks for joining us this evening. Okay, moving on to the second part of the agenda item overview and a staff briefing. We have calendar events, but before we get there, I also like to, on the request of many constituencies and members of the public, we're moving item number 10 right after the consent calendar. because I know a lot of folks here tonight, we have a packed room, and many of whom would like to speak on item number 10. So we're moving item number 10 to a little ahead on the agenda, ahead of item number 9. So with that said, City Manager, Mr. Tom Williams, would you please provide a City Manager update for the public, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening to you, members of the City Council. Again, Tom Williams, City Manager. The calendar of events, the informational item, reports of bill and claims as an informational item are in your packet. Also, the report out from the October 1st, 2024 and October 8th, 2024 closed sessions. There is no reportable action. So moving on to the staff briefing and to update everyone as the city of Millbrae continues to be very busy. We have an exciting Halloween candy wrapper art contest that's being sponsored by our environmental programs that we have open for elementary, middle school, and high school students. So they can create an art piece with any leftover candy wrappers or other recycled materials for a chance to win a prize. Art pieces may be submitted between October 1st and November 15th. Submissions will be judged by the grade level on the following criteria: theme, originality, and effort. So there'll be one winner from each group, again, elementary, middle, and high school, and they'll be chosen and given a prize up to $50 in gift cards and acknowledgement at the November 26th City Council meeting. So anyone that is interested, they can come to our Public Works counter and submit their art entry. And so that runs now through November 15th. Also, on October 9th, that is tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. here in the City Council chambers, there's a candidate forum that is sponsored by the Millbrae Community Foundation, moderated by the League of Women's Voters. So people in the community, the public, can come learn about candidates running for District 1, 3, and 5, and those are the 3 districts with open City Council seats. So again, tomorrow night, candidate forum, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. People can also submit questions ahead of time. Questions are up. Do we have a slide that shows the email? Okay, so everyone take note. This is also, I believe, on our website. Questions at lwvncsmc.org. So again, that's questions at lwvncsmc.org. And so League of Women's Voters, that is open now, and welcome any questions that would be submitted for tomorrow night. Okay, next we have Millbrae Goes to the Movies, Hotel Transylvania. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend you do. It's outstanding. This is our first indoor movie for the season. So this Friday, October 11th, starting at 6:30 p.m., there'll be popcorn and just a great time for the family. So that will be at the Millbrae Recreation Center, 6:30 p.m., Hotel Transylvania. And the admission is free. Okay, next Tuesday, October 15th, the Millbrae community is invited to the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. There's a Millbrae Town Hall that will be hosted by Sheriff Corpus. That will start at 6 p.m. and run till 8 p.m. and will be held here in the Millbrae Council Chambers. So that's October 15th, a week from this evening, 6 to 8 p.m. This will be an informative session with the Sheriff's Office, local representatives from the Millbrae Bureau to discuss safety in neighborhoods. Next, Thursday, October 17th, we have our last Beats, Brews, and Vines. This is our downtown concert series at the intersection of Broadway and Hillcrest. That starts at 6 p.m. We have 2 bands. The first band that starts at 6, runs to 7:30, is the GTC band, followed by Native Elements that is played here at the city. Fantastic band from South San Francisco. They start at 8 and go to 9:30 p.m. So that's next Thursday, 6 p.m. downtown. Also, Friday, October 27th at 11 a.m. is the Rotary Kids Carnival. This is hosted by the Millbrae Rotary Club, and it is at the Rotary Park, which is just south of Millbrae Avenue on Ashton on the Spur Trail. So that is Sunday, October 27th, starting at 11 a.m. And this is a great event for kids and families hosted by the Rotary Club. And Mr. Mayor, that is a quick update of what's happening for the community here in the great city of Millbrae.
Thank you so very much, City Manager. And may I also get a report out from October 1st, 2024 and October 8th, 2024 closed session, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there's no reportable action from those two closed sessions.
Thank you very much for the update. And next up is the approval of minutes. We've got the regular meeting minutes of July 23rd, 2024.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve from Councilwoman Ann Schneider.
Happen second?
We have a second from Vice Mayor Pappen. Would you please do a roll call, City Clerk?
Councilmember Snyder?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen?
Yes.
Mayor Fung?
Aye.
The meeting minutes of July 23rd passed by a vote of 3-0.
Thank you so much. We don't have any oral report from city committees and council chair this evening. And now moving on to public communication. And this is the portion of the agenda reserved for those who wish to comment on item not appearing on tonight's agenda. Speakers must address subject matters within the jurisdictions of the city council. Every speaker will have 3 minutes tonight. And the speaker is to address directly to the entire council, not individual council member nor the public. We will start with in-person speaker here in the chamber. I have 2 speaker slips, and then we will move on to online speaker after. Tonight, we have begin this portion of the agenda with March Colapietro, please. Followed by Marian Kong. I have 1 speaker slip. Ms. Colapietro?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, so
Yes.
the public, during public comment, they have 3 minutes total.
Right.
So if there's 2, so for example, Ms. Colapietros in 2 requests to speak on public comment, 3 minutes each, but it's 3 minutes total for public comment.
I got it. Okay. So, yeah. Ms. Colapietro, let's make sure that everybody has ample amount of time to address the members of the public. And we'll start the clock when you're ready.
Thank you, Council, for getting the measure of FF on the November's, voting ballot. This item is very important as it determines whether or not we want to elected council members to serve for a limit of 12 years and no more. These past years were at times ugly and unhealthy for our beloved city. We don't need that. Millbrae needs to stay current, fresh, and healthy. On November 5th, please vote yes on Millbrae Measure FF. Thank you. This is from the neighbors on El Paseo. Thank you, Council, for pulling the street closure temporary permit. We couldn't have as a great party as we did after it was pulled. So thank you. We also want to thank the city staff for the work they did to assist us in obtaining the temporary permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Colapietro. Marian Kong, please.
Well, tonight I'm here to talk about random thing, okay? Where I live, the couple street where I live hasn't been paved for years since I ever know. And they are Guadalupe and Bonita. And I kept talking to the public work. They say, next year. So since we have balanced budget, I hope it will be really next year to get that paved. You know, the car is not very hard to go through that street, okay? And also, side street in Millbrae, I don't know if you guys know this, there's no stop sign painted brightly. There's no dividing lines painted brightly among the side street. It's very dangerous for our residents. So anyway, I always talk about infrastructure. I like the street to be paved. And I was so happy my street got resurfaced, whatever repair resurfaced 2 weeks ago. That was really, really nice. Now, another topic, farmer's market. Last week, I was at a farmer's market, and I literally saw a car driving through the alley, and then there's a shopper there. Yeah, and then so we had to tell the car, turn around. So he slowly turned around, but safety of the shopper at farmer's market need to be addressed. And then there's no enforcement of the parked car. The car just parked there, okay? So this is something, small thing to bring to the council's attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. And City Clerk, would you please call the online speaker?
Online speaker, Karen, iPhone, please accept the mute and state your name.
Hi, Karen Lobo. Good evening, Mayor, council members, city manager, and city staff. I'd like to take this moment to express my sincere gratitude for your dedicated service to our community. Your hard work and commitment to improving Millbrae are truly appreciated. I also want to especially thank the council and city manager for your decisive actions in opposing La Quinta conversion. Fully aware of the financial harm it would have caused our community, I understand that this decision may not have been politically easy and that you likely faced external challenges and pressure to reconsider. Nevertheless, you have stood firm in your convictions. Please know that many in Millbrae deeply recognize and appreciate the personal sacrifices you've made in service to us all. Thank you for listening to your constituents, and again, for your unwavering dedication. I truly appreciate it, and so do many others. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lobo. I think that concludes the public communication. Okay, all right, thank you so much. Moving on to consent calendar. We have item number 5, an informational report for the 2023-24 mayor and vice mayor rotation. Item 6, adopt a resolution declaring 3 existing vehicles surplus and approving the purchase of 4 new vehicles. Item number 7, adoption of a resolution approving the third amendment of the employment agreement with the city manager, Thomas C. William. Number 8, adoption of a resolution authorizing the city manager or designee to execute an amendment to the professional services agreement with the New City America for preparation and support services related to the formation of a community benefit district in the amount of $64,000. Does anyone want to discuss any of these items? Or any item from the consent calendar? No? Good. Vice Mayor?
Sorry.
Take your time.
Thank you. You're all heart. Yes, please. Item 5, real quick. I know this is I'd like to just pull that for a brief discussion. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Polling item number 5 for a brief discussion. Any other comment or polling from the consent calendar? Seeing none. Any public comment on this 6, 7, and 8? Seeing none. All right, I would entertain a motion for 6, 7, and 8.
Motion to approve agenda items 6, 7, and 8 as read.
Thank you so much.
Second.
We have a second from Vice Mayor Pappen. Would you please do a roll call?
Councilmember Snyder.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen.
Yes.
Mayor Fung.
Aye.
Consent items number 6, 7, and 8 passed by a vote of 3-0.
Okay, on item number 5, can we have a quick,
Well, I don't know if we need a full briefing here, but.
yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, it's just that we bring this up so early, rotation-wise, and I know that's like in the protocols, and I just don't think we actually need to do that. I would hope that sometime in the future, we actually just kind of skip over this. Given the current council, none of this applies anyway, so hopefully this is dealt with in a different way in the future. But I'll move approval of this item.
Just accepting the report?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, City Manager, I believe this is something that we do annually. The first meeting of October, it's when we have this sort of on a consent item, more of, as an informational to the public as well as to the council what the protocol spelled out. Obviously, we have a bit of a different circumstances in this upcoming December, and we have to, new council would have to kind of deal with that. But nonetheless, this is sort of a tradition for us. But it's more of an informational than anything else. So we have a motion to accept from Vice Mayor Pappen.
Second.
Okay, we have a second as well. City Clerk. Thank you.
Councilmember Snyder.
Any public comment on this item? I don't think there's any public comment on this item. Okay, shaking heads. Go ahead.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
All right. Item number 5 passed by a vote of 3-0.
Okay, thank you. And then we don't have any public hearing this evening. So moving on to existing business, item number 10. We're going to get started with the discussion of appointment to City Council D2 and D4 offices, or call for a special election to be held on March 4th, 2025. So I'm going to begin with this. I see many members of the public here this evening. I got, a good amount of speaker slips. I intend to, let's see here. We have a couple hands raised and we have 8. So I'm going to limit the public comment on this item to 2 minutes tonight. And that's at least 11 speakers as of this moment. So that's going to be at least 22 minutes. So I just want to make sure we kind of move this along in a efficient fashion here. So here's my, my plan for the evening, if anything. We will begin with the 6th candidate joining us at the podium. I recognize that last night, although we spent roughly about 20 minutes on a per candidate basis, many of the candidates have more to say and have more to add to the members of the public and to this council after they answer all 6 questions and a 2-minute opening statement and also a 1-minute closing, many of whom felt like they have more to offer to the public. So tonight, I intend to give each and every single one of the 6 candidates to take a podium to give them up to 3 minutes to address the members of the public and this council. After that 18 minutes, then I will have an opportunity for all the public comment to be addressed, to be able to address the council. And tonight I have about 11. And after all the public comments are completed, then the council will take this matter into deliberation, and hopefully we can come up with some decisions on D2 and D4 tonight. So that's the plan. Council? Vice Mayor?
No, thank you. I appreciate that greatly, because 20 minutes is really, yesterday, I mean, it's very difficult
Yes.
to get the best of everybody in probably a very stressful situation. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is a good idea.
Okay. Just want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to address the public and this council in ways that is fair and equitable for everyone. If this is agreeable, we can begin with...
I would only say it was about 14 minutes per candidate. It was the fastest job interview I've ever participated in.
Well, so here's an opportunity to give your best shot for the next 3 minutes for each candidate. City Clerk, did you still have the order at which we did the Wheel of Fortune last night, and we can still use that as the order in which
Sure.
these candidates can address the public?
Okay. Do you want us to go in the same order and by the district
Yeah.
first?
Why don't you reverse?
Okay. So the first applicant is Sissy Riley.
Okay, please take the podium, up to 3 minutes. And before you begin, I'd like to ask all the members of the public, you already know this, just make sure your mobile device are on mute so as to not to disrupt the speaker. Thank you. Please.
Good evening, City Council members and everyone. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to clarify the questions we answered last night. Vice Mayor Pappen, regarding your question, first, I support the mayor at large because mayor represents the whole city. Everyone should have the opportunity to vote. In the second, I support no district election because district proven to be divisive. It's limited quality individual to be in each seat. Also, we should not involve for the international issues. We are a small city. We want to stay united and focus on our own issues. My answer is no. Thank you. Councilmember Schneider, regarding your question, I support to protect one shoreline because our shoreline is in danger of raising sea level. I will continue to work with SFO to make sure to keep clean canal. I support the tree ordinance. I love trees like you. Also, I will work with the Central Fire Department to clear the vegetation once a year to reduce the potential wildfires. Of course, I support the City Council term limit extension, so I can vote all of you again. Mayor Fang, my time to commit District 2 and Millbrae at large is my top priority. Our short-term goal should be resolve La Quinta issues, have county drop the offer. The issue will affect our city now and the future. I like to focus on economic development in the downtown for long-term goal because it will bring funding for future projects. Thank you for your time and consider appointing me as a District 2 City Council. I will not let you down. I will not let Millbrae down. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Riley. City Clerk.
The next applicant is John Mafara.
Mr. Mafara? When you're ready, 3 minutes.
Good evening, council members. Here just to reiterate some of the strong points from yesterday. Just to make a point that being a member of the council, I would work together as a team member, not only for the constituency of District 2. Being that this is a special consideration, I would make a point in the future to have some meet and greets, try to go door to door, make sure everybody is aware of your issues and that I bring them up to the council. In addition, my professional background would lend itself to the council and to meet some of the demands as the city starts to expand and develop and meet some of the challenges that we have moving forward. Been a strong member of the community, worked with building together on a number of projects in San Bruno and South City and Millbrae. In fact, Scavenger here has helped us quite a bit with those projects. You know, some of the points that were brought up yesterday in terms of development, you know, my background lends itself to, you know, identifying and coming up with some creative ideas and moving some of these projects forward and meeting some of the challenges of our district and the city at whole. You know, my comments in regards to you know, districting, I feel that the districts I've been involved in the campaign this year, and you know, being in a district gives the candidates a great opportunity to meet in all the constituencies of that district, and it's not as economically on a burden, and you get a more activity or more variety of people that come out and willing to put themselves out there as a candidate. The mayor at large, I don't mind having a mayor at large. I think that consistency would be advantageous. So I may have changed my point of view from yesterday on that. Some of the things in regards to the environment and carbon footprints, I feel strongly that it's important that we do take measures as a city to reduce some of our carbon footprint, whether it's solar fields, adding solar oh, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mafara.
Yes.
Yes.
The next candidate is Donald Kuhn.
Mayor Fung, Councilwoman Snyder, Councilwoman Poppin. Mayor Fung, you had a question I want to clarify yesterday in regards to my short-term and long-term goals that I see for Millbrae. For short-term, I think we need to focus on neighborhoods, such as saving our bay views. Our Millbrae residents have the fortunate, lucky few who get to enjoy the bay views right here. I want to be able to enhance our walking trails along the top of 280 and along the Bay SFO. Those are great walking trails for the citizens. And regards to transportation, I want to encourage bike lanes and electric bike lanes. I see more kids nowadays riding their electric bikes, and it doesn't look very safe when they're running around El Camino. So having protected bike lanes for their usage is important, both for their kids' safety and for the drivers along El Camino. For economic development, really want to promote economic development, business retention, encouraging small businesses so we can increase our tax base. Keeping workers here in the city, it will have workers tend to eat out within the city. They tend to spend money here. For long term, want to promote the revitalization of El Camino Real. El Camino is the most visible part of Millbrae. We need to create a welcoming gateway. So, for example, we have the Flower Lounge restaurant, the first image we get when we first enter Millbrae. Really want to encourage that to maybe become a cultural center of some sort to really encourage and welcome guests into Millbrae. I like to encourage having farmers markets. In San Diego, for example, they have a little street called Little Italy, and it's a great environment on Sundays where they have farmers markets. For our downtown, really want to encourage the use of physical space for gatherings of both residents and visitors. A lot of international cities like Paris, Shanghai, they have cultural centers to gather. So I think having a center part, which it could be as simple as a waterfall or like a pond element, a small park. For example, the Office Depot development has a chance for us to get a community gathering point right there because of the design for the northern part of Broadway. A question that Gina Poppin had for me regards to district elections. I'm in favor of having district elections, really because having a district, for example, I'm trying to run for District 2. I really want to get to know the citizens of District 2. It allows us to be more intimate with the residents, to get to know what their needs are, and allows us to know what the issues are within our district to report back to the City Council. Ann Schneider, Councilwoman Ann Schneider, you had a question in regards to climate change, rising seas. Oh, can I do a quick conclusion? My last conclusion is, I understand that I didn't know this, but we get a salary of $950 a month. I want to donate all of that money back to my city to help for communications. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kuhn. City Clerk. Yep.
My apologies.
No, no worries.
I was totally invested in this. Yes, sorry. All right. Sorry, my,
Falsitos. First, I think. District 4.
Beginning District 4.
No, Paul Cito's, I believe, last.
Oh, was he last?
Sorry, it closed, the file closed.
Whoever was first can stand up now.
No, I
Please.
believe it's Chris. Yep.
Was it Paul first?
It is Chris.
Hold on. I believe it is Mr. Cito, followed by Mr. Hackley,
Yes,
and then
it's Paul
Mr.
Cito.
Nguyen in the end. So, Mr. Cito, go ahead.
Sorry. I apologize.
That's okay. I have my notes here. I remember.
Yeah.
Mr. Cito, take your time when you're ready. Just let us know.
All right, thank you. Good evening, council members, Mayor Andrew Huang, and Vice Mayor Gina Pappen, and Councilwoman Ann Schneider. Thank you very much for once again having a chance for me to speak in front of our council and our community here in Millbrae. Actually, I reviewed my notes and the many things I said yesterday, and I kind of felt that I kind of more or less said what I needed to. One thing that I did want to add to, and that was the Mayor Fung's question in regards to short and long-term vision and my thoughts on that. And, my background is in finance, and I mentioned that I enjoy finance, and I've worked over 30 years in finance. And I think my short-term vision for the city is actually just the healing part. There's been 2 recalls. That's unusual for our city, and that, there's people that voted for them, and then afterwards that voted against them. So anyways, I just want to be a way for us to kind of move together forward as a community. I always felt that our community is a very small community. I enjoy the people in our community. We have various opinions in our community, but I'd like to kind of channel that so that we can all kind of work together toward a certain direction. So that's my short-term hopes for us. The second part, the long-term vision, I think my opinion is that, again, I like finance, and I like the direction of the city, of economic development. And in the past, I've always tried to help somehow find more revenue. So I think my hopes are that we can find additional sources of revenue, whether on city-owned property or maybe some kind of arrangement with other investors in our community. And I think that would go a long way, because in my world, finance and money is a medium that actually serves the larger community. So we can kind of leverage that. I think that'd be great for us to be able to fiscally look at what we can do and just build our city and to help it meet its budget, and also with some reserves. I'm a banker, okay? So anyways, so I do hope that we can kind of work on those 2 main items. And I also wanted to thank you guys for letting me speak yesterday and a chance to come back once again to revisit the council at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cito.
The next candidate is Chris Hackley.
Mr. Hackley.
Ready?
When you're ready.
All right. So it's wonderful to see everybody again. I actually wasn't expecting to be back, which was interesting. And that actually leads me to, I think the biggest point that I'd like to say, and it was something that I talked about yesterday, is that I think this decision of giving us 3 extra minutes isn't particularly important, right? It's great that we have a chance to speak more. I think for myself, you probably have an idea, right? I am very much in the early stage of learning about Millbrae, right? I am not as experienced as some of these other people. My skill set is different. If you think that I, would be good for this role, it's because my skill set is different, right? But I think broader, when I got the call, what I really wanted to know was why. And we got some of that earlier, right? The rationale behind why you're making this decision, and it makes sense. But the part that I still don't understand is how much of that was the board itself deciding that there should be more time, and how much of it was the citizens who were contacting you. And I don't know how many, it doesn't matter. But essentially, that would be really interesting. And I don't know how much you can reveal, legally, like this is kind of my limit, right? But I think what would really help, and people have talked about it, right, about healing. I truly do believe that one of the best ways to heal is to make people believe and truly do it, right, that you're giving them the whole truth. I remember one of the most, frankly, depressing times in my life is I had my first startup and we ran out of money, I had to it really sucked, right? And I had 8 employees at the time. And I was trying and trying to raise more money, and it just didn't happen. But what I did every step of the way is I didn't lie to them. I told them the truth, that, look, I'm really trying. I hope it's going to work, but we only have money for 2 more months. We only have money for 1 more month. And what shocked me is that they kept on working until the very end. And I know from other friends who have had similar things, they just write off a month or plus employment, right? If they know the company's going under, the employees won't even try. And I think if we're talking about healing, that is the biggest thing. That's what I'd have. And again, all of you have more experience than I do, right? But my 2 cents would be, I would really go overboard on essentially showing your work. Why are these decisions being made? Why are you going to pick whoever? I think personally, there are 2 other great candidates for District 4, right? I would not be ashamed in any way, shape, or form if either of them were picked. I also wouldn't be ashamed if it went to a full election, right? It could be that it's the exact same people running, but the public would get a chance to decide. So I think that's what I'd really like to leave everybody with. I think Millbrae is great, and anyway, but I really do think it'll get past this. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hackley. Mr. Nguyen.
And thank you, council members.
The
Please,
microphone.
please get closer to the mic. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you, council members, for the opportunity to return and discuss my desire to represent District 4. I'm grateful to stand here before you and reaffirm my commitment to serving the community. As I mentioned before, I lived in Millbrae for 8 years, and this is a city not just where my city and I reside, but where I truly planted my roots. Over these years, I've become deeply connected to our city and the residents of District 4. Through my recent involvement with La Quinta, I had the privilege of working directly with the community and engage in honest conversations and advocate on their behalf. This is experience that gave me deeper understanding of challenges we face as a city. And more importantly, it gave me the opportunity to build trust with the residents I would be honored to represent. I am not one to sit on the sidelines. I've actively engaged with the issues that matter to Millbrae. Whether it's listening to the concerns of the infrastructure, traffic, and development, I have consistency to work to ensure that District 4's voice is heard. What drives me is my belief on good leadership that requires commitment to understanding the people's concerns and then acting on them. That's the type of leadership that I would bring to this role. My professional background, too, is uniquely equips me to take on the responsibility of the city council member role. I spent my career building and leading a successful business in highly complex systems, collaborating with stakeholders and delivering results on time under pressure. It's a balancing act that requires problem solving and smart decisions with limited resources. These are exactly the skills I would apply to help move Millbrae forward. Looking ahead, my vision for this city is one of responsible progress. As a council member, I would focus on 4 key areas I believe are critical to our future success. First, responsible infrastructure development. Our city is rapidly growing, and we need to be forward-thinking in how we develop and maintain this infrastructure that supports this growth. Second, economic development and fiscal responsibility. We need to foster business growth while ensuring that we are using our resources wisely. Third, we need public safety because ensuring the well-being of our residents is paramount. And finally, ensuring that District 4 has proper and active representation. I'm committed to making sure that our voices of our residents are not just heard, but acted upon. It would be a tremendous honor to serve this community as a member of the City Council. I am ready to roll up my sleeves, put in the necessary time, effort, and bring my experience and passion to this role. Millbrae has given my family and me so much. I am eager to give back in ways that ensures that we continue to thrive. Thank you for considering me for District 4, and I'm excited for the possibility of contributing to our city's future.
Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. And that concludes the candidate statements and their address to the public in this council. At this time, I have 8 in-chamber speakers and also 3 online. So we will call each and every one. We'll start with the public comment from within the chamber, and then we'll call those who are online after. The first speaker is Mr. Nathan Chen. 2 minutes. Followed by Ms. Jess Hassan.
Good evening, City Council. First of all, I also am pretty amazed at the recruitment that was done for this appointment. It's really inspiring to see so many people willing to step up and serve their community. One of the arguments that I've often heard regarding the recall that just occurred is the need for representatives to represent their communities faithfully. I think that in order to finish that work, it's important for the council to call a special election so that the voters of districts 2 and 4 have the ability to select their representative. This is a pretty consequential amount of time that these people would serve for, 2 years. That's the length of a state assembly member term. That's the length of a member of Congress term. And even more importantly, that's 2 of the council seats, only 1 seat short of a majority. So I think this should be something that should go to the voters. If you are committed to appointing someone, I would suggest that at least one of those appointments should go to Mr. Cito. Earlier, we talked about the mayor rotation protocol, which is still the standing protocol. We've also talked at length about the importance of the mayor position in terms of representing the city, making appointments for subcommittees of the council, casting votes on behalf of the city. I think this is a role that someone who has experience in public service would be best suited for someone who already has served in the public. And there's a chance that at least one of the candidates running for election will have experience, but if you do want to appoint, I think it would be good to get someone with experience in that appointed seat. So again, first preference would be that we call an election. Second, if you are going to appoint, at least pick Mr. Cito. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Ms. Jess Hassan, followed by Ms. Judy Louie.
Good evening, council and staff. Our growing city needs qualified leadership on city council. We need candidates who know the issues and have demonstrated that they have the experience to lead a city. After the loss of 2 qualified and experienced council members, we must commit to replacing them with equally qualified and experienced elected officials. Whoever takes these seats will be guiding all of our residents for years, and expertise in government functioning is not a quality we can afford to forego. I request that this council moves forward with a special election so Millbrae can vote for a qualified representative on council. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hassan. Julie Louie, followed by Li Shi Huang.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Judy, and I live in District 2. I'm here to express my support to CC from District 2 and Bob from District 4 to be the next council members. They are driven by political agendas, but are committed to serving our community, protecting our interests, and building a better Millbrae. Both CC and Bob have strong professional backgrounds, successful leadership and business management skills. CC, in particular, dedicates significant amounts of time opposing the purchase of La Quinta Inn, demonstrating her commitment to our city. We know and trust her. She will work with the council and listen to the residents' voices. We want the next District 2 council member to embody the traits of CC. She has the heart and vision for Millbrae's future. We need CC to care for Millbrae's well-being and to be part of the new council member. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Li Shi Huang, followed by Marian Kwong.
Good evening, dear Mayor Fong, Councilmember Pappen and Snyder. My name is Li Shi Huang. I live in District 2. Hereby request the new council member for D2 and D4 be appointed as soon as possible. With only 2 years remain in the current term, a special election would be time and money consuming. Making appointment is the most practical and feasible solution. I strongly support D2 for C.C. Riley and D4 for Bob Yuan. I've been closely working with them to advocate and fight for our community as volunteers for over years. And I witnessed many of the excellent quality, sincerity, patience, tenacity, reliability, and selfless dedication. These are the quality of our leaders should possess. This is a formal educator and a company manager. As a first-generation Asian immigrant, a single mom with a special needs child, you can imagine how much difficulty she has overcome to achieve what she has today. Bob is an intelligent and successful young businessman, and he advocated for policy that support our local business, enhance public safety, improve our infrastructure, etc. All that he did for the community was fully supported by his wife, Helen, and his family, even though they have 2 6 to 5 years old children. They both have strong professional backgrounds, successful business, and leadership skill. The most important is that they both are not politicians. Don't have a political agenda, a little bit, but truly commit to serving the community.
I just want to be fair to everyone who comes in. Thank you for your comment. Thank you so much. Marian Kong, followed by Helen Fu. When you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, please.
Tonight, I'm here to share some of my thoughts about candidate C.C. Riley. C.C. Riley has the voice of a mother, a powerful force of a nurturing and shaping community. It's a voice that advocates for all well-being of family and neighborhood. The voice of a mother harness the maternal voice to fight for a healthier planet, ensure a safe future for all children. These efforts highlight the unique role mothers play in advocating for a social change and community care. Embody a spirit of compassion and determination that benefits Millbrae as a whole. This is the C.C. Riley I know. C.C. has brought together with a shared vision of her community. She has created a network, mutual support, enhanced safety, and foster sense of belonging. C.C.'s commitment to community and the unity of her neighbors is a powerful force that can transform local environment into thriving, supportive spaces. Initiatives such as community safety, like Kingdom Fight, neighborhood small business protection, and listening to the neighbors when doing door-to-door campaign or recall. C.C. was there and continued her engagement. She has continued to a stronger District 2 and more united community. This is the C.C. Riley I know. C.C. long-lasting commitment to community matters, not 20 hours a week only or a month. Her heart and love for District 2 and Millbrae as a whole, listening, unite neighbors together, earned my support. This is C.C. I know. We need a council member who had District 2 and Millbrae at large on his or her first priority in the council. This is C.C. will deliver. C.C. is the choice for District 2 council seat. I urge you to select her to bring the community back together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thank you, Ms. Kong. Helen Fu, followed by Ray Louie.
City Council members, my name is Helen, and I am a registered voter in District 4. I would like to express my support for appointing Bob Nguyen to be the District 4 Council member. After the public interview yesterday, I'm very impressed by Bob's knowledge and passion for serving the community, and I believe he is the most qualified candidate for representing District 4. He actually ran a campaign back in 2022 when no one else stepped up and won nearly 28% of the total votes as a write-in candidate, which was phenomenal. Instead of waiting on the sideline, Bob jumped right in and participated in the La Quinta issue from the get-go. The efforts received overwhelmingly positive feedback from the community. With Bob's most recent experience, he has the most up-to-date ground-level knowledge of what constituents in District 4 care about the most. Being a family man and running a successful business, Bob would not only apply his skills and experience, but also bring a fresh set of perspectives to help develop Millbrae, while ensuring transparency and people's voices are heard. His passion is so infectious that it inspired more people in District 4 to get involved. In all, Bob will be a great asset to the City Council of Millbrae, and I strongly support Bob to be appointed and represent District 4. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fu. Ray Louie, followed by John Chang. Get close to the mic. Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, Anders, Gina, Ann, and all the residents of Millbrae. My name is Ray Louie. My wife, Chisha, and I moved to Millbrae in District 4 30 years ago to raise our two daughters, Elizabeth and Diana. Our daughters attend Meadows, Taylor, and Mills. We left the Parkside District in San Francisco, mainly for the public schools and the weather here in Millbrae. Elizabeth graduated from UC Davis, and Diana graduated from Cal State Hayward. Both our daughters are homeowners, have their careers and families, and we have a 6-year-old granddaughter and a 3-year-old grandson. Today I am at this meeting to endorse Sissy Raleigh for Millbrae City Council, Councilwoman for District 2, and I strongly urge Anders, Gina, and Ann to appoint Sissy for Millbrae City Councilwoman for District 2. Sissy's steadfast love for her District 2 and the city of Millbrae is, in my opinion, an inspiration to all. Sissy has spent countless hours helping the campaign of others here in our city for all the right reasons and also for the city. Sissy was at the county meeting this morning in Redwood City to fight for our city, along with Stephen Rinaldi, Ken Smith, Marion Kong, Wong, and Judy Louie. Sissy will be a tremendous asset to our city council. Also, I want to touch upon Bob Nguyen. Bob Nguyen has stellar integrity, transparency, fiscal responsibility, and most importantly, he uses common sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. John Chang, followed by Alice Kwong. When you're ready.
All right. Neil Fong, Council Member Ann Schneider, and Gina Papan. And I would like to support Sissy Raleigh and 4 points. First one, I heard that the Bay Area, also Millbrae, is a place of crouching tiger and hidden dragons. A lot of people, just my neighbors, MD, PhD, and they have opinions, but they come out. Okay, and so a lot of people have 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 2, 3 graduate school degrees, but they don't come out either. So, I think Cici is a person I met, and she doesn't have that highly education myth, and she is meek and humble, and she is not superior, but she has a commitment to public opinions and listen to the community people's voice. And that's the second one. And third one is that I see that from the first town hall meeting, that county town hall meeting in the recreation center, and all the rallies against that La Quinta, she's always there. And she also work plan for the rally. And the fourth one is that she comes from an inferior background and know how to help disadvantaged and needy families. And just like the scripture said, the Lord will take pity on the weak and needy, rescue them, and deliver from the hands of wicked. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Alice Kwong, followed by John McAuley.
Good evening, Mayor Fong, Vice Mayor Pappen, and Councilwoman Snyder. Thank you so much for all those past months. You work, guys, was so hard, especially again, using this time to say thank you so much, very, very much, to don't worry about political rights, but stand up for our city's best interests. I really respect all of you from my heart. The same as during this month, three of you work together, continue to fight for our city best interests. And at this time, we need an urgency to replace a new two council member. Hopefully, they still have your, like Ms. Slider and our Vice Mayor Pappen, have your guideline to get the new membership, to learn how to be a good council member and learn to support our city. That's very important. We cannot waste no more time. I urgent to appoint the best quality person tonight. It's urgent because we wait until the special edition. You don't know who's going to be, where the money coming for be, and who may be just moving in for 6 months. That was so challenging for us. We cannot able to offer that. So please appoint a two good quality candidate today. And of course, personally, I strongly support Cici and Bob Yun because I agree with all of them before the candidate, before the speakers talk about them. I know all what they mean because La Quinta bring our Millbrae city united and fight together. And people know how to commit to serve the community. People know how to work together, and people know how to support the city. And people know how important for our city financial. And those two applicants, they know, they work over a year for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alice. And then John McAuley. And then we'll follow by online speaker after.
Okay.
When you're ready.
That's Mayor Fung, Vice Mayor Pappen, Councilwoman Schneider. Thank you very much for your hard work, all of you. It's very hard just to have three of you represent us. And I also want to thank you, each and every one of you, for coming to my house when you were trying to be elected for the first time. I remember seeing each and every one of you. Thank you for doing that. My name is John McCulloch. I've been a resident for 63 years. I attended last night's special council meeting and listened intently to your instructions and to the questions presented to the candidates. Number one, I do not believe an election is the best course of action for this matter. We as a city can ill afford the spending of over $150,000, a figure given to me by Tom Williams, our city manager. I believe this appointment isn't the best route for this abbreviated time for the future, for this election time. My position is the following for District 4. If we're in my position, that I'd be filling this position, I would fill it with Bob Nguyen. As a write-in candidate, he got almost 30% of the votes of the citizens that voted. For a write-in candidate, that's almost unheard of. And this is the will of the people that heard and followed him. We now have a vacancy because the past council members did not listen to the will of the people. Bob Nguyen went house to house listening to citizens and let them know how he stands and listened to them. He did the legwork. He invested his time, his resources, and in all fairness, should be appointed to fill the seat. It's easy to now say that you want to be appointed, but he actually went out and did the hard work of campaigning, as you all three did when you were running. He was instrumental with the La Quinta issue. I do want to thank past council member Paul Sato for his volunteer as a council member. I also volunteered, but I do not believe this is a qualification to fill this vacancy. Thank you.
Thank you, John. City Clerk, I see 3 hands raised online. Would you please call them one after another?
Okay. The first speaker is Karen iPhone. Please accept the unmute and state your name. Karen, please accept the unmute.
Hi, sorry about that, Karen Lobo. I believe that holding a special election would be both costly and unnecessarily time-consuming. With only 2 years remaining in the current term, a special election would not be practical. Making an appointment is the most efficient course of action. I believe the call for elections by some in the audience who emphasize the need for candidates to have governmental experience is a ruse. It's simply driven by the desire to make room for special interests and activists who want to infiltrate and influence our city. Millbrae has been targeted by outside activists, and they do not have our best interests at heart. We witnessed large sums of money they were pouring into fighting the recall campaign. In closing, I support Bob Nguyen for D4 and Sissy Riley for D2, both who have demonstrated their love for Millbrae with their actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lobo. Elaine, go ahead.
The next speaker is Grace X. Please accept the unmute.
Good evening. First, I would like to echo everything that Ms. Lobo just stated about outside activists infiltrating the city with large amounts of campaign contributions and a hidden agenda. I advocate for the council appointing candidates for District 2 and 4, despite objections from some of the people that claim that democracy is being circumvented. We are not a democracy. We are a democratic republic. And as such, our elected officials make some decisions for us. And all of you were elected by the city at large to make decisions for us. For example, city manager, you just renewed his contract. He makes lots of decisions for the city, and he wasn't elected. We are a democratic republic, and people need to understand the difference. Second, I would like to focus on the District 2 candidates. I think the most important quality in a candidate is integrity and honesty. I've already addressed some concerns in an email to the 3 of you that I sent before the candidate forum yesterday morning. But after listening to the candidates last night, I'd like to make a comment or a concern I have, and I don't know if it was something that was misstated or not, but the second candidate stated, I got very involved with the entire recall process. However, I don't remember ever hearing that name before. And when I asked other people that were on the recall committee, they had never heard of his name either. So my concern is, where is the honesty and transparency? On the other hand, Sissy has been very involved in the recall in the city for the last couple of years. I personally got to meet her Saturday for the very first time, and I was very impressed with her warm, bubbly personality, and she would be a great asset to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. City Clerk.
The next speaker is Zoom user. Please accept the unmute and state your name.
Hi, I'm Christina Gaines. I'm asking city, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm asking City Council to appoint the District 2 and District 4 City Council members. A special election is going to take too much time, money, and energy. We need 5 level-headed people to continue fighting for Millbrae. The 6 candidates were already interviewed and all have the education and will to make Millbrae better. The recall election was a landslide. The people have spoken. Even other districts wanted to be involved in the petition signing and the recall voting, but they couldn't. And this brings me to the problem with districts. Project Home Key and having no say in it was a huge issue for Millbrae residents. And because we are separated by districts, people could not come together as a whole and vote in the recall special election. This was very disappointing for many people. We need a mayor. We need a mayor and a council at large to unite our city. Next, most of these candidates are willing to concentrate on Millbrae and not bring foreign policy to further divide the city. We need people who will most definitely think of all the diversity and culture of Millbrae and not single out anybody, ever. To be very clear, of the 3 D2 candidates, Sissy Riley is the only candidate that has worked tirelessly with the residents of Millbrae for over a year to have their voices be heard. She continues to work to make sure La Quinta project doesn't get forgotten. It's not over, folks. The landslide recall is evidence people want to keep fighting for the right to have a say in our city. All she has done regarding this La Quinta fight is called civic duty. She doesn't need a flashy title on some committee to prove she's worthy of this seat. If and when the La Quinta deal is over, I have confidence Sissy Riley will be just the right balance to bring compassion and accountability together. I also want to acknowledge Bob Wynn, as he too, the only candidate in D4 that fought for over a year and listened to the residents' concerns. Bob brings a soft-spoken kindness, remarkable intelligence, and he's got tenacity to get things done in Millbrae. Both Bob Wynn and Sissy Riley have earned their badges in civic duty. I strongly encourage the
Thank you. Thank you, Christina. I just want to make sure it's fair for everybody in terms of opportunity. All right, so that's all for the public comment for this evening for item number 10. Now we bring this back to this council. This is not an easy agenda item, I will say. But we're fortunate that we have 6 candidates who wanted this job and who wanted to work and serve and represent the city. And then at the same time, we have a very engaging, a very activated community who would want to speak on behalf of these issues that are so important to our beloved city. So without further ado, I kind of want to just open this up to the council. But the first item that I wanted the council to discuss upon is to try to make a decision whether or not we should be making appointments versus a special election. If I can just kind of narrow down our pathway of discussion here. That's where I'd like to begin. Council?
Okay.
Before we even talk about any candidate
Yeah.
specifically.
No, look, I don't think any of us had any idea where this would go or what decision would be made. This is an open process, which I greatly appreciate. Everyone who made comments tonight is particularly, as was stated, the inspiring people who have stepped up to be a part of this process. So not getting into that, I am leaning towards actually appointment of individuals for the reasons that we can't have a special election till 5 months from now? What's the?
March, I believe, city
March
attorney.
of next year. And I do believe that having a full council benefits the people. Was noted tonight too, a special election costs funding. But yeah, I'm leaning towards making an appointment for the reason I think that we're better as a council, having more exchange, more minds to share and work together with. So that's just kind of my thoughts at this point.
Thank you for your comment. Before we get to you, Councilwoman Schneider, we'll get to it in a second. I just want legal counsel to give us the timeline. Should special election be chosen, what the timeline would be in terms of the election and also the certification and how much time is it away from us?
So, Mr. Mayor, as everyone knows, the city of Millbrae is what's called a general law city. We are governed, for better or for worse, by the California codes. And so all the power that derives from the council in governing the city derives from the code, and so we must follow the code. Government Code Section 36512 covers the requirements for filling a vacancy in elective office. Subsection B specifically says that within 60 days of a vacancy, the city council must fill the vacancy either by appointment or by calling a special election to fill the vacancy. So you've correctly pointed out that the first decision you'd like this body to make is whether they're going to do it by appointment or by special election. The reason the council would have to wait and hold the special election in March as opposed to, let's say, November, is found in 36512 subsection B, subsection 1. And I'll read it word for word and then I'll kind of parse it out. If the council calls for a special election, the special election shall be held on the next regularly established election date, not less than 114 days from the call of the special election. A person elected to fill a vacancy holds office for the unexpired term of the former incumbent. So breaking that down, the first requirement is that the special election needs to be held on a regularly established election date. Under the California Elections Code, there are a number of dates that are defined as regularly scheduled election dates. First Tuesday in November is a regularly scheduled election date. The next one after that would be the first Tuesday in March on an odd year. So 2025, the next regularly scheduled election would be March of 2025. The second portion is that the election date cannot be less than 114 days from the call of the special election. We are under 114 days from the first Tuesday in November. We were under 114 days when the special election was held and when the results were certified. So there was no way that this election was ever going to be held the first Tuesday in November. The next regularly scheduled election by law would be the first Tuesday in March of 2025. So that is why the city would have to wait. If you decided, three of you decided to call for a special election, it would have to be the first Tuesday in March. And then even though this wasn't the question, might as well finish the analysis. Whoever gets elected in that special election fills the vacancy for the unexpired term, meaning they would hold the office until November of 2026, when the District 2 and District 4 elections expire.
Correct. And, right, I was going to get to that. And then the normal timeline for certification after the special election is held, which is March 5th?
30 days.
30 days, so that would be roughly April 4th.
Right.
Roughly around that time, which, April 4th. So today is October 8th, so that leaves another 6 months at a minimum before the certification of that special election. And at which point, if special election were to be chosen, that leaves another 6 months gap in terms of representation of leadership. I just want that to be on the record and clear to the public why we're trying to make decisions and what the facts surrounding this decision. Councilwoman.
Actually, if those people are appointed, they would hold their seat until December 2026, or when the new council comes in.
Correct.
Not November, just pointing out. Okay. First, I'm going to apologize to the people of Millbrae. When the community put together the signatures for the recall election, we chose a time. And I'm a little bit angry, although it's pointless to be angry, that our previous city attorney did not say that we should have held the election earlier. And I was one of the people that voted to push it longer because I wanted to give everybody on both sides time to get their act together. And that we also had to do the city budgeting process, which is our #1 job, to make sure we pay for everything. What happened then, and it came as a complete surprise to me, that if the recall election had been successful, that they would not be running in a November election. So I take responsibility for that, and I am sorry for that. I believe in elections. My mom is a lifetime member of the League of Women Voters. I'm a former board member myself. I believe in the vote of the people. So now you're going to hear my timeline on this. First of all, I do think it's fantastic that we got 3 candidates, 3 applicants for both seats. That's really fantastic on that. It also shows that there's enough interest to have an election. Now hang on before everybody goes that. In 2013, Millbrae sadly lost Mayor Nadia Holabird to cancer. And that city council at that time called an application process, and I actually applied, as did former Mayor Ruben Holabird, candidate Annie Oliva, and somebody I really enjoyed was the finance director for Environmental Defense Fund in Oakland. And we were interviewed, and they chose Annie Oliva. However, that seat was basically from July to November, or December in that case. It was a short-term period on that. We're being asked to fill a position for over half of a term. That means the 3 of us are being asked to take away the votes of the people in District 4 and District 2 for over 2 years on that. We as a city have been telling the county over La Quinta that it is the vote of our people that count. It is our vote that counts, not some outside entity coming into Millbrae and telling us what they want to do. So the power of the vote is part of our argument. It is part of the California Constitution, Article 34, which we all know County Executive Mike Callaghy is going to bring back to the March election. We know that. I lost out of the 3 of us in trying to get our own Article 34 in this November election because I do strongly believe that we need to get our vote on record for that. You could say that the La Quinta recall election is a way of looking at how that vote came out, and that's a valid statement. The supreme majority of the voters said, stay out of Millbrae, don't move forward on La Quinta, and you can see the power of that vote. There's a big elephant in the room. The big elephant is the people we have in the audience today are the people that are happy with the recall. But there's at least a third or a little over a third of people that are very hurt and feel that they have lost their voice. An election gives them that opportunity, and all 6 of you candidates a chance to meet with everyone. One of the benefits of actually running a campaign is that you knock on doors and you talk to the people, your voters, what they care about, not just La Quinta. La Quinta is one thing of the many things we do as an elected official, and it's taken up way too much time, and yes, we have to keep fighting for it. But you knock on the doors. You go and meet with all of the groups that do endorsements, whereas I don't count endorsements as much as I do or did in the past. You do questionnaires. You learn what is important to the unions. You learn what is important to the environmental community. Speaking as somebody who ran the Sierra Club process for over 10 years, we use that endorsement process to get to know every candidate and to develop relationships for the long term and to get to share what we think is important to a community, in that case from the environmental perspective on that. That's what running a campaign does. You knock on doors, you meet people, and I use the people that I met, like John in 2013 on a very hot day, and he lives on Tuolumne, the steepest street in Millbrae, and found out what was important to him and his street, and I use that to this day. That's what elections do. They let you know what your constituents want, and you carry it with you in your goal setting, you carry it with you in your decisions. This has nothing to do with any of you. I asked you some tricky questions. As I said, Millbrae is more than La Quinta. Millbrae is obviously financially in a tighter situation for a host of reasons. When you run for office, you learn about those things. And whereas I think all 6 candidates did the best job they could, there's a lot you have yet to learn. Running a campaign would give you that time to learn more and be better prepared when you sit here. And I think the couple of months that we have to wait, whereas I'm not happy that we couldn't do a November election, a March election, which really means you start campaigning now, means you have that chance to meet those people. You, the candidates who worked on the recall, you need to meet with the constituents who are on the other side. We need to figure out how to heal that. And I am here to help you bridge those gaps. But I don't live in District 2 and I don't live in District 4. But I know how much pain it has caused. And I think the right way to heal Millbrae and for all of you to do a better job when you do eventually serve on council is to knock on doors and talk about all of the issues that impact Millbrae. So I cannot support appointments. I just honestly think, you know, if it were a couple of months, it's okay, but for over 2 years, I hadn't thought of that. That is longer than our congressman sits. That is longer than our assembly sits. This 2 years is a very long time for 3 of us to have the power over the voters. I simply cannot go there. And I do like what someone spoke last night. Millbrae's not that broke that we cannot afford $100,000 for a special election. And for all of you that supported the recall, at that time, the cost was not an issue. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If we can afford $100,000 for a recall, we can afford $100,000 for the voters to speak. And all 6 of you have already started your campaign. You're already on the way. And that is the transparent, that is the open process, and that is our pathway to healing. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for all of that, and also for vice mayors as well. I think it came down to me. Here's what I will say. I think we certified the special election right around August, if I'm not mistaken. We knew about the votes around July, and then to certify in August. It's been a difficult 2 months, month and a half, 2 months, in terms of trying to make progress. Although we are making progress every day, we lost 2 council members, which also means we lost those regional seats where they used to sit on. Those representation at the regional bodies to make important decisions, fundings, resources, we lost those. We lost our discussions on all the subcommittees because 2 council members would violate the Brown Act, speaking to one another on issues that could come before this council. It hampers the ability for this council to conduct its day-to-day business by not having a full council. So that puts all of us in a major disadvantage. And if we need to wait another 6 more months, which we already waited roughly about a month and a half, waited another 6 more months, I don't know how fair this would be to both D2 and D4 and the city as a whole, because we're simply taking away our ability to govern, to be able to project our policies on a regional basis, and be able to work with regional decision-making JPAs to bring the resources and the representation to Millbrae. So I think that all the decision that we make here on this dais, it's not about myself, nor I'm pretty sure my colleague here understands and also believe that the decision that we make here is not about us. It's about the wellness of the city. And the same decision, the same lenses at which we need to look through all the decisions that we make tonight is what's in the best interest of Millbrae moving forward. We talk a lot about cost on special elections, but most importantly, the question is how do we move the city forward? How do we ensure everybody has proper representation? And you brought up a good point about door knocking and the entire process of campaigning and how beneficial that is. And I recognize the importance of that because it's just so happened that all 3 of us sitting here were elected at large. And in the foreseeable future, we're the only one who were elected at large. So, there's a special meaning, and maybe it's destiny that we're here to make this decision tonight. But I think in the end of the day, we must listen to the people, and we must make decision based on what is in the best interest of those who sit in front of us. And that's kind of where I need to look through all the decision that I need to make tonight and beyond. Vice Mayor, you have some comments? Please.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate the discussion, actually, here. I agree with Councilmember Schneider. There's nothing like engaging the public on this. Oh, sorry. It's on? Sorry. Okay. There's, as was noted, we've all run at large, and engaging the public is so very important here. It really lets us know what's going on, let us know how you feel, and I think this public has shown they're able to do that. What was it? Ben Franklin said, "This is a republic as long as we can keep it." And anyone who thinks governing is easy hasn't really actually tried it. So it's not easy here. We have various discussions. I know one of the applicants has said, what's happened behind the scenes here? You're seeing everything. There is no behind the scenes, because right now, any conversation that we have with one another would be a violation of the Brown Act. So we cannot discuss anything with each other. It has to happen here. I don't know how we got to the point of inviting the candidates to speak, but I appreciate that greatly. Because, again, 14 to 20 minutes yesterday, it's difficult to make that evaluation. So however that came to be, thank you. And thank you again for everybody being here. And Councilmember Schneider is correct. Yes, the $125,000 for a special election is something that can be afforded here. But I am uncomfortable in not having two council members, this council being 3 at this point in time. The public always has the right to vote. We've seen it. Term limits exist each and every day. So if you think we don't do our job right, that's what recalls are for. So the public is an active participant in absolutely everything we do. It's true, we have to represent and make the final decisions. But I think everybody up here is committed to listening to the public. And I think the city would benefit at this point in time by doing an appointment. And again, if that doesn't work out, I'm sure we're going to hear about it from the public as to what happens next, or who, if anyone, joins this body moving forward here. So again, you're hearing all the conversations. There was nothing pre-planned. So I would still believe that I think we and the city would benefit more so by making an appointment.
Okay, all right. Comment? Comment?
I'm going to disagree. I do appreciate Mr. Huckley's comment about transparency. The mayor did call a meeting, a public meeting. Gina and I can't attend. We can't attend when you're a council of 3 on that. But I had people on many sides call me after that with their interpretation of that meeting. And it most definitely was to lead and to prime the public to having an appointment rather than a special election. It was primed there. It was set up there. So I have to disagree that there wasn't machinations to move in a particular direction. But again, I made the mistake of pushing the recall election to a point where we couldn't have a normal November election on that. I am so grateful for everybody that came forward and helped us with La Quinta. At the same time, I am concerned about the groupthink that comes forward on that. But and sadly, and the city attorney can correct this, when we were a council of 3, and we didn't know this, we didn't know any of this, that I had thought, well, wow, as a council of 3, when you should be 5, you would have to make a decision on a 3-0 vote, but that is not the case. You can make a 2-1 vote on that. So clearly, I am overruled on this. I'm going to point out a couple of, one ex parte communication, well, 2 actually, that I had. Paul Cito and I are both Millbrae Lions, and we did have a long talk before a Lions meeting, and I asked Paul, because I do remember him from his Sierra Club endorsement way back in 2007, I believe, on that. So we talked about what Millbrae's needs are. And I just want to point that out there, that I did have a talk, and I did ask him where he was on appointment versus election. And I don't want to speak for Mr. Sato, but I do have handwritten notes saying that he is open to either way, open to having a process. And I had wished that the law would allow us to appoint until we could have a special election. Sadly, that is not the case, so I can't do that. We've tried everything. I think this really does boil down in the last 3 meetings that Vice Mayor Pappen and I have, the need to really look and to invest in becoming a charter city. It gives us more ability to run our own elections our own ways than being part of a general law city. And I will again encourage that that comes up to a city council. But it sounds to me like it's a 2-1. This is nothing personal against any of you. I do see where Paul has sat up here. It is different. Government is not running a business. Government is not running a biotech firm. And it does come with skill sets on that. And we're going to have potentially 4 brand new people on that. So it's a tricky time. I honestly do, as I said, think that we can survive with the 2 new people who will get elected in a few weeks until March, but I think I'm going to be outvoted on that. I do think that if we appoint people who are active in the recall, because I can show you my emails from people on the other side and the pain they are feeling, that an appointment is going to continue that hurt. I did hear one of you tonight say that if you got appointed, you would then go knock on doors. That sounds great. It won't happen. Knocking on doors is hard work. Knocking on doors is a lot of stairs. So I love the idea and I appreciate the thought, but honestly, it will not happen. If you're appointed, you will not do that work. You've got other work to do. Now, the mayor said earlier that we can't meet as subcommittees. That is true. But we're also at the end of a calendar year. And at least on my committee assignments, there isn't that much that honestly happens in November and December on that. So I'm less worried about committee regional assignments on that. But you know, again, I'm going to be the no vote on this, so I guess we should move forward.
Okay. Thank you for the comment. I'll entertain a motion so that we can make it official.
One second. A question, real quick here. So if we can't come to consensus, though, after this on either district, we might have to call an election.
Like fill one seat and leave the other.
Yeah,
seat for
so
election.
So, Mr. Mayor? if I
Yeah,
may.
legal.
So you could make a motion to make an appointment, but I don't think it's necessary. The law does not prescribe how you fill the spot. You either have to do one or the other. I think the final decision you make, so if you, let's say, for example, you decide to call for a special election, I would say you need to make a motion, a second, and then a vote to call for the special election. If you decide to appoint either District 2 or 4, each would need to be a separate motion. But I think you can sort of freeform right now and discuss, okay, there's 2 of you, there seems to be consensus from 2 of you that you want to do an appointment. I think you can have that discussion without a motion. And if you find, as Vice Mayor Pappen says, if you find someone that you agree you want to appoint, then I would recommend you do a motion second to appoint that person and then do the vote. Because I think Vice Mayor Pappen is right. If you can't reach consensus on somebody, let's say you each pick one of the 3 for each district, then you might have to end up saying, well, our default is a special election because we're deadlocked.
That's interesting.
So you can freeform at this point just in how you want to, but you can also do a motion. So I'm just
Yeah.
Yeah.
letting you know.
So, yeah, I would like to open, I think we have leanings here.
All right,
But
okay.
I think it's healthy to open the discussion, and I hope that the entire body here would participate in any sort of evaluation.
Yeah, we're certainly here to participate. This is why the public is here and all of us are here. All right, so would the council agree? Then we move forward with the first district, say District 2? Just by order of numbers here, there's no strong preference one way or the other? Who would like to begin?
I started the last discussion.
You know, Councilwoman Schneider, no? Well, you've been leading for 7 years and 9 months.
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yes, yes.
So another suggestion, this is kind of me delving a little bit into policy, but from previous, and I think three council members have been experienced, you've probably seen other cities do it. There's no prescribed way that you are required to do this. It must be open in public, it must be here from the dais. But that being said, the only open in public part is the actual motion, second, and vote.
Right,
So what
or a nomination.
Or combination. What I have seen cities do, and the city manager may want to chime in as well, the hardest part is what you're doing now, where the first person has to go and say who they like, don't like. What I have seen other cities do, and the city manager may want to chime in as well, is I have seen cities where they do a ranking. Each person writes their top 3, submits it to the city clerk tallies it. And if you all have the same person as number 1, that avoids the uncomfortableness of someone having to go first. Again, that's just a suggestion. It is not illegal. It is something you can do if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, okay, all right. So we can open up the discussion, and then we'll
Yeah.
see where it ends.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I would like to kind of get into what Councilmember Schneider said here. Our conversations and our questions were not focused on one topic. This
Correct.
is a job that deals with many, many aspects that the city council must evaluate and go through here. One of my questions was, I think, of great interest because having gone through recently foreign affairs, we listened to our public. We had rallies. We've listened to open comments. I think the one thing that really came through on that was a lot of divisiveness, a lot of uneasy, a lot of fear, and that is not what this city council is about. So I asked that question because I think the city council needs to focus on the business of the city. And it was very passionate on all sides here, but that kind of divisiveness and kind of failure to recognize by some that it was divisive. This council received threats from people, from our residents. We've seen it happen in other cities as well. That is not what Millbrae is about. When we talk about healing and bringing people together here, that's why I asked that question. And so it should never be about threatening other people or beliefs or passion or anything like that. So it was kind of revealing in some of the responses. And I appreciate too that certain applicants came up and said, you know what, I've changed my mind about something. We all change our minds and we all learn from experience and engaging others here. So that was a part of a process that I hope the city doesn't have to go through again. Yes, we listen. Yes, we are compassionate. Yes, we want to bring people together to heal. Public speaking is, the First Amendment allows everyone to speak. And when you open up issues, you heard what happens. Everyone gets their opportunity. So I didn't find that to be kind cohesive or actually bringing people together here, and I hope that's what we do. So that was a part of this process. Also, the second question that I asked regarding districts, I think common consensus is that districts have been divisive. We are a very small city, but that will be for the public, that will be for the council to decide in the future. So information is key, and we want everyone to be a part of the process. We will see what happens there, but small cities, 3.2 square miles and about 23,000 people. And you see now too in districts that smaller sections, it's easy to do a recall. It's easy to try to influence districts. The most important thing anyone who takes on this position should know is you represent everyone in the city, not a single district. You should listen to everyone, and you'll find two of the common goals that everyone has are common. They are not unique to one district. And we have served, the three of us have served the entire city. And it is a great honor and a wonderful experience here. So I hope that continues with however we proceed. And I wanted to be clear on that aspect of it. And I know Councilmember Schneider's questions about the environment and where we're headed here. Again, these were not single issue questions, and also the mayor's. So I just wanted to be clear on that aspect of it and responses that were given here. That's how we will, or I will, look in evaluating the applicants. So go ahead, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to be.
Okay. Councilwoman Schneider, do you have a comment?
So from my notes from last night, I still have to look at Mr. Kung's responses if we're looking just at District 2. Maybe I need one more minute. Let me 1 more minute to compile my notes.
Sure. Okay. I want to thank all three candidates, Ms. Riley, Mr. Mafara, Mr. Kuhn. All of you have plenty to offer to our city, which I greatly appreciate, from different perspective, different experience, different lived experience, from not only your professional life, but also your involvement in our community. And when I look at all these applications and certainly answering all the questions that you sit through 2 interviews now, right, which is not an easy task. I still remember when I first had an interview in 2017, an interview for Planning Commission. It felt like a presidential debate. And it could be daunting. But I truly appreciate you willing to step up and represent your community. In terms of the lived experience, I think that's particularly relevant in our city. We're a city of diversity, and we have an opportunity to ensure that our voices are as diverse as it needs to be, and value everyone's opinion and the different lived experience, because that's what will value the city the most, and that's what represents the city the most. And looking ahead as to what the next 2 years will look like, based on the possibilities of the 5 candidates now vying for 3 seats in November, and also the 6 candidates that are now vying for those 2 seats.
6 applicants.
6 applicants to be evaluated upon. And I still remember when I first got on the council that I was able to serve next to the Vice Mayor Pappen, Councilwoman Schneider, and also Annie Oliva, which is a mother. And that brings a lot of perspective to this council. And I want to make sure that this representation continue to exist in this council. That's extremely important for all of us, because we are a city of families, and half of the population need to be properly represented. And then at the same time, I will say the commitment of our individual members, it's important to the extent that nothing beats the heart of a volunteer, and only time will tell how strong that heart is. So it goes beyond to just looking at the resume, but rather the involvement of these applicants over a long run. And I completely agree with Councilmember Schneider a moment ago when she said one of the most rewarding things about running a campaign is knocking on doors. And so the question here is, this experience for the last year and a half, this entire movement of our city and how activated our community has been, who is doing most of the work, who is most activated in this community and knocking on door every day, and showing commitment day in and day out, not knowing what the outcome is going to be, but just wanted to show up and talking to different voters, different residents every day, listening to their concern, answering questions, and just connecting with people every day. I think that's the commitment that we need to value as we look forward to making the decision tonight as to who can best represent our city moving forward. And then last but not least, all the public input tonight that we've been listening to. We've been very fortunate to have a very activated community right now. And I think it is time for us to listen to the members of our public and really listen to their concerns, to what they had to say, and what they want. I think that's, over the last couple of years, those are the challenges, I guess, in terms of why we're so eventful in the last couple of years. And this is the time for us to step up as a leader of the city, to listen to the people whom we pledge to lead, and really make decision on behalf of the betterment of those who lives in our city. So I think that's kind of what I'm going in terms of thought process. Councilwoman Schneider?
Okay, if you guys don't know, I usually am a pretty copious note taker during council meetings. Looking at the two questions that Vice Mayor Pappen brought up, let's be honest, let's call it the discussion over having a ceasefire, but it could just as easily be protecting Taiwan, or as one of the candidates said, talking about Hong Kong, and it's staying in its special situation in there. And again, the candidate, this is another awkward thing about this position. My notes say that, I'm going to call you by your all first names, so I don't have to keep pumping back and forth. Chrissy said maybe Sissy said maybe in the future. John said listen to constituents. Donald said Millbrae is international. We're international by sister cities, and there are situations when it makes sense on there. In terms of districts, Cece said, not political, listen to council. John likes districts, and Donald says exempt small cities. If you look at environment, this is unfair of me to ask anybody to get the environmental questions right. But all too often what I have seen from electeds is they think that as long as they do reach codes, and as long as you can afford to put solar on your rooftop or buy an electric car, you've done what you can. And I'm going to tell you, go look at the hurricanes that hit North Carolina 2 weeks ago. Look at the hurricanes in the Gulf right now. We are past tipping point. This is my profession. And I've been in the field over 40 years, and it never helps to scare people. But we're in scary times, and it will affect all of us, all over the planet. And there are things that all of us have to do. And sadly, none of you quite got the connection on climate change. None of you got the answer right on that. Now, in an election, there'd be chances to educate and to bring inform on that. But I am so scared for Millbrae because we try to make things simple in a world that is not simple. Climate change, weather extremes are not simple. We're on our 9th day of a heat wave with no fog. I grew up here. Never has that happened. I expect, for those of you that get appointed tonight, you have homework to do. This is public safety. It is not the deputies running down Broadway getting people for doing an illegal U-turn in front of Dean's Market. It is doing the public safety work we have to do for all of our seniors and small children in homes without air conditioning that will die in their homes on extended heat waves. That's where climate meets public safety. And that's what I had hoped to get from you. And it is something that Millbrae has not done. And I have been your representative for 9 years on the disaster preparedness and finally got the most recent disaster director to Millbrae to look at our east side. So if you're going to represent District 2, you have big land use issues. You have big environmental issues on that. And it breaks my heart how little people care about this. So, Council Vice Mayor, on District 2, they're all over the board on your 2 questions. They're 0 on mine. The city manager and I talked about this. I didn't really think it was going to go this way. I honestly thought it was going to go to the vote of the people. But the city manager made us a suggestion that maybe what we need to do is go through their responses and create a chart of some time and see where the candidates are on the issues that we think are most important. If not, then, Vice Mayor, that's what I found. Now, somebody tonight, I didn't take notes tonight while you were doing your 2 minutes because I didn't expect that. That is unusual. So I don't know, maybe one of the candidates or a couple of the candidates changed their positions on your 2 questions. So I may have that information incorrect. So that's what I got in looking through my notes.
All right. All right, so in the interest of being efficient here as well.
We're picking our council members for 2 years. If we stay here till 2 o'clock in the morning, we stay till 2 o'clock in the morning. We spent 14 minutes with you guys yesterday, plus your applications. That is no way to choose a council member. We take the time to do it right.
All right. Anything else? Gina, you have anything?
Can we have the audience, public comment is over. It does not assist this process. So please. I think I've taken notes. I did take notes tonight as well. I am ready to give an opinion.
Okay.
And I think probably the best way to go is, as was suggested, because I have seen it in other cities, do similarly, do a ranking.
Okay.
And go from there. And look, I agree with Councilmember Schneider here. These individuals are not, you don't want to say professional, they are just passionate about Millbrae. And we all learn by being up here. And I do think that each and every person who is before us is willing to take that job on. They are not going to be experts. None of us are experts. I can tell you the first time I came up here, nobody even showed me how to use this little voting thing the old way. So it's a learning experience each and every day. And I believe that every single candidate before us is taking that on, and willingly so. So no one is perfect, not us either. I think the best way to go would be to submit a ranking and see where we are. That's just one opinion.
Okay. All right. Anybody want to make the ranking choices? The rank choice?
You mean 1, 2, 3? That rank choice City manager or city attorney, can you describe what ranked voting means?
So, as I said, it can mean whatever you want. What I think I suggested, and I think the city manager and I were kind of whispering, I think we concur. My recommendation would be each of you rank the three candidates, number one, number two, number three, with one being the top choice, two being your second choice, three being the third. Obviously, if all of you pick the same person for number one, I think it's fairly obvious. If each of you picks someone different for number one, then you all need to have a discussion about what that means. But what it does is it breaks the uncomfortableness of someone having to say, go first, and it allows you to have your opinions. The ballot itself will come to the city clerk. She'll look at it, verify it with the city manager, city attorney, and then we'll keep them as public record. But at least it kind of gets you all going in a direction. Doesn't mean that once that's done, you're bound by it. You can continue to discuss. But just from having seen it done in the past, if all three of you pick number one, I think it's very hard for someone to say, well, let's keep having a discussion. But you could, again, the process is completely up to you. The law is silent on how you select someone, just that you must select someone within 60 days or call for the special election.
Well, I think when we did the planning commission, someone just make a nomination and make sure there's enough votes.
I'm sorry?
I think last time we picked the planning commissioner, someone make the nomination out of the pool of applicants and then make sure that there is a vote. That's how we did it in the past. And I think the same could go tonight. If someone is willing to make a nomination and make sure that there is a vote. It's a nomination process. A motion and a second. The same Robert's rule.
No, I'm not comfortable with the process at all. I honestly, to my core, this is wrong. This is wrong.
There's no public comment at this time. Ms. Colapietro, the council needs to figure this out. We're on item number 10. But again, this is not the time to discuss with the public. All right. So my suggestion is that we do it the way we have always been doing it, is to make a nomination for one of the applicants and see if there's a second, and then proceed with the vote. If there's no second, then we'll continue to make nominations until there is. Can we agree on this process? Okay? All right, so, are we agree on this process, Vice Mayor? Okay, sounds good. All right, so here is what I would do. I value all three candidates deeply because it takes a lot for you to be in front of all of us. It's a difficult, can you imagine how difficult process is for three of us? It must be also very difficult for each and every one of you as well, which I deeply appreciate. I think it's important that, the public have already spoken tonight and last night as well. And then at the same time, I value commitment from individuals who day in and day out continue to show up and talking to voters and knocking on doors, because that's the process at which you connect to your community. I think that's extremely important and that's extremely key to this process. And then at the same time, we greatly benefit in the last few years, having the voices of the women and also voices of the mother as well. And we have an opportunity tonight to do what's necessary to make sure that this community's voice is as diverse as it needs to be. So to that end, I think I'm being clear. I'd like to make a nomination for C.C. Riley for D2 candidates.
I'll second the motion.
We have a second on the motion. Any other further comments? Without any comments, City Clerk, would you please call a vote? The nomination is for C.C. Riley to fill the seat for District 2.
Councilmember Snyder,
No.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Fung.
Yes.
The City Council appoints C.C. Riley to District 2 council member by a vote of 2 to 1, with
All right.
Councilmember Snyder dissenting.
Thank you. Now we're into D4. Council? Vice Mayor, you want to get started?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, thank you to all the applicants. I think the most important aspect of this district is the fact that we do have an applicant who has run before and has truly engaged the public even recently and throughout this, our recent process here. So when it comes to knocking on doors and listening to the people, I think that is more of a deciding factor to me. Honest conversations that were noted. Yes, we are not going to have complete consensus with all the residents here, but I do think it's important we have someone who really has engaged the public consistently over the last couple years at least. So given that, I would nominate Bob Nguyen.
Okay. Go ahead.
In Mr. Nguyen's statement, he talks about collaborative working on that. And I'm sorry, you don't recall two people because you disagree on their vote on a letter and then turn around and say that you collaborate. The other thing that Mr. Nguyen has said, that he was very, very involved in the recall election. I've been there since day one. I've been at every event. I've been to every public meeting. I've been in person at Board of Supervisor meetings, and I haven't seen Mr. Nguyen.
Public, please.
So I just don't believe him.
Is that it?
No, I'm not going to second a nomination.
No, I'm saying, is that your comment?
I would do a counter nomination. I would support Paul Cito, who
Okay.
has the experience of having been on council as a, I'm forgetting my terminology. What am I doing?
It's a counter motion.
A counter motion. Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor, just a reminder, under Robert's Rules of Orders, which you're governed by, you take the last motion first.
Correct.
So you now have two motions on the table. You have a motion for Mr. Nguyen. You have a second motion for Mr. Cito. You first look to see if there's a second for Mr. Cito. If there's not, then the motion fails. Then you come back to the motion for Mr. Nguyen.
Correct. So I guess this is my decision at this time. It's easy enough,
We need a
right?
second.
Yeah,
It's very
exactly.
important. You need a second on the second motion.
But the mayor is correct that because there's only three of them, he's
Because-
either going to
It would
second,
be him.
Correct. Whatever motion that I second, that would be,
Yes,
or you can make your own motion.
I just want to, hold on.
all right, well, hold
I
on.
just want to follow the procedure.
Yes,
So there's a second motion
yes.
without a second right now. So all I'm saying is don't forget to call for the second. And if there's a second, there is. If there's not, there's not.
Okay, so here's what I would make my comment. I think it comes down to a decision time anyway, because the choices is clear in front of us at this time, right? I think,
Question. I'm sorry, Mayor. Since we just voted, or since two council members voted for a new council member, does she have a vote?
no.
No,
Not
there
until
needs to
sworn
be a
in.
swearing in, so, yeah.
Okay.
Just to finish that thought, Councilmember Schneider, that's a good question, and I actually thought through it. So what I think would happen tonight is if you fill both seats, I think for expedience sake, you would swear them tonight, but they would not become
No,
council members.
Mr. Mayor, I think we're getting ahead
So,
of ourselves.
yeah, exactly. Hold
They
on.
don't have a
It's not-
vote.
That's not.
Yeah, hold on one
Let's
second. Let
discuss
me-
that after this.
Exactly. Let me try that. I think, first of all, Yeah. Okay, hold on, guys.
Are you going to second?
Mr. Mayor, I think we should take a 5-minute recess.
I don't think we need one.
I think we do.
We just need to know if there's a second.
I mean, between me and the attorney, I think we need.
Hold on, guys. Let's just get through this motion and second, and then we can take a 5-minute
Actually-
recess after.
There has to be an action on a motion pending before you can even take a break.
Let's just, one thing at a time, gentlemen. One thing at a time, gentlemen. Okay, so let me finish. All right, I think it's important for us to be mindful that democracy is not a spectator sport. It is a heavily participating sport. Everybody needs to be engaged. And it is important that we reach out to people as much as possible and speak to as many people as possible on a constant basis. So participation is important, needless to say. So at this time, I would support the motion of Bob Nguyen to be appointed in D4.
Sorry.
I will not, hold on,
No.
hold on.
You have to vote on Ann's.
I cannot, I will not second the motion on Paul Cito, and I will second the motion on Bob Nguyen. All right, can we call for a vote, please?
Councilmember Snyder,
No.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Fung.
Yes.
The City Council appoint Bob Nguyen to District 4 City Council seat by the vote of 2-1 with Councilmember Snyder dissenting.
Okay, and then at this point, I'd like to take a 5-minute recess so that everybody can get a little air and then use the restroom. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you for joining us again. We're back from the recess. At this time, because we have a little discussion with the legal to make sure the legal process, now that we just completed the appointment of District 2 and District 4. Now we move into the item of swearing in these two new council members. First one is Councilmember Designate, C.C. Riley.
I, CC Riley, do some swear I will support depend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the City of California against enemy, foreign, domestic, do I have to faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and to the Constitution of the State of California. That I take this obligation freely with any mental obligation or purpose of relation, and I will, willingly and faithfully, discharge duties upon which about to enter. Thank you.
Congratulations, Councilmember Riley. Please take a seat. This is your new chair. And Councilmember Designate, Bob Nguyen for District 4.
I, Bob Nguyen, do solemnly swear I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and to the Constitution of the State of California. I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, that I will, well and faithfully, discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Thank you.
Congratulations, Councilmember Nguyen.
And please sit down. Excuse me.
All right, this is a pretty historical moment for the city of Millbrae. And we're now back in the Council of Five. Thank you so very much. And little did you know, you're going to be at work tonight. So without further ado, City Manager, shall we move on to item number 9?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Item number 9 is actual a study session, and for the new council members, this is a study session for information. Usually in a study session, you can ask questions, and staff is here to answer those questions. And it's to provide information to help evolve a future decision. So this evening, we have a study session for the consideration of extending the term of a franchise agreement with South City Scavenger Company for additional service and operations. South City Scavenger is the current and longtime solid waste company for the city of Millbrae. So with that, I would like to introduce Andrea Papajohn, our environmental services project or program manager, for a staff presentation.
Thank you, City Manager Williams.
Ms.
Good
Papajohn.
evening, Mayor Fung, Vice Mayor Pappen, council members. First, congratulations to Ms. Riley and Mr. Nguyen. I really look forward to working with you, and I'm here to answer any questions. So congratulations on your new appointment. So the purpose of the study session tonight is to discuss extending the term of the existing franchise agreement and provide staff with direction to prepare an amendment to the agreement. Next slide, please. So I'll give you some background. Our current franchise agreement with Scavenger will be expiring October 31st of 2025. That is approximately 1 year from now. So in July of 2020, now I'd like to just talk about some new current state mandates that that have impacted the city and Scavenger's service and our existing agreement. So one of the mandates is SB 1383. It's the mandatory organic recycling law that was passed. And the state mandates organic recycling for all residents and businesses. Additional capacity is needed to recycle the additional organic material. I'll explain more of that in the next slide. And then in September of 2022, the city received a letter from Scavenger stating the city would not have verifiable available organic waste capacity as required by SB 1383, as they required a contract extension. Okay, and then another mandate was April 2023. The California Air Resources Board passed the Advanced Clean Fleets Rule. And this requires Scavenger to transition their fleet to zero emission vehicles and provide all the necessary infrastructure, which would include all the EV charging for that fleet. Next slide, please. So just to give a little bit more background on SB 1383 and capacity planning. So in November of 2022, the city adopted the enforceable ordinance for SB 1383, but yet another component of SB 1383 is capacity planning. And so what that means is the city is required to just demonstrate verifiable available organic waste capacity to the year 2034. So what this means is since this, the collection of organic waste is mandatory, there's going to be more organic waste. So the city needs to show that we have capacity to recycle this additional organic waste. The city will not have verifiable recycling capacity unless the agreement with Scavenger is extended. So compliance can be done through an amendment, a contract extension to the franchise agreement with Scavenger. The amendment would be an annually renewable contract, which is the most economical and cost-efficient option to ensure the city complies with the capacity requirement to 2034 and into the future. Next slide, please. So during the period between July 23rd and July 2023 and June 2024, city staff met with the infrastructure and the budget and finance subcommittees on 3 separate dates, and listed are the 3 dates. We discussed contract extension, and if we were to extend the contract, the subcommittee requested 4 additional services which benefit the residents and businesses. So we negotiated and added 4 additional services that would be proposed with the amendment. Next slide, please. The 4 additional services that staff proposed and Scavenger has agreed to are A, multifamily accounts would have the opportunity to arrange 2 extra collections per year. This would allow cleanup day coordinated by the property owner. The next additional service, there'd be no charge for residents to drop off e-waste, cardboard, cooking oil, batteries, fluorescent lamps to Blue Line. Currently, there is a $38 charge for this, so this would be an additional service at no cost to residents. And the third additional service, it would allow our code enforcement to schedule special collections and or roll-off services as needed. For example, there would be the opportunity to schedule 4 30 cubic yard roll-off boxes. And the fourth service, Scavenger would provide compost distributions 4 times per year to our spur trail for compost giveaway. Compost giveaways are very popular with our residents. And they're always appreciated. Okay, next slide, please. So why an amendment to the franchise agreement? Well, it will help us comply with the new state requirements, and it will require, the new state requirements require substantial financing. So to obtain lowest possible cost of financing, Scavenger needs proof of long-term franchise agreement. Some of the advantages of an annually renewable contract are, as I mentioned, a 15-year annual renewable contract can assist Scavenger to secure the lowest possible cost of financing. It allows Scavenger Company to lock in organic, verifiably available capacity for the city, which we're required to do. It will enable a transition to zero-emission vehicles for their fleet per the ACFR rule. It will speed up the replacement of older, non-compliant collection bins for SB 1383. And it'll provide 4 new additional services that I just mentioned that will benefit our residents and businesses. This annual renewable contract is the most economical, cost-efficient option to ensure the city complies with the capacity requirement, which goes to 2034 and into the future. Next slide, please. So the annually renewable 15-year contract extension, the term is automatically extended for 1 additional year each year, so the term will always be 15 years. Staff did a survey of 50 jurisdictions with annually renewable contracts. A list was provided by Scavenger, and we reached out to all 50 of these jurisdictions. Out of the 50, 25 replied, and 21 of those jurisdictions confirmed they have annually renewable contracts in the state. We looked at the term length of those contracts, and the average term length is 16 years. And just to look at the flip side, the disadvantage of annually renewable contracts is the contract is automatically renewed every year for 15 years, so the length always stays constant. And the other thing is that the city can terminate with notice or cause. So, next slide, please. So, the City Council's next steps would be to review and discuss the contract options and provide staff with direction to prepare an amendment to the franchise agreement with South San Francisco Scavenger Company regarding additional services and operations. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Pepperjohn. Thank you for this detailed presentation. I'd like to start with this council for your questions and comments, and I'm sure this is an item that we're going to continue discussing going into the next meeting and even beyond, trying to make a decision. Go ahead, and Councilwoman Ann Schneider.
Okay, thank you, and being part of when Angie and I were on this subcommittee, so thank you for the time of working on this. I've gotten at least one public comment on this that wants us to go out to bid. So I want the public to understand what happens with garbage contracts. Typically, a garbage contract, recycling contract, is one of the largest contracts a city will ever let. In my professional background, I actually was hired to demonopolize the system for the city of San Jose, so then the 11th largest city in the country. And we demonopolized it. We did it using different things. However, the world has changed since then. And I strongly believe, with all of my professional 40 years and academics in this field, that the system we have with South City Scavenger, which is a dual stream system, which means the commodities, recycling is a commodities business, are cleaner on this. And I think South City Scavengers is one of the last remaining independent companies, not part of a large international conglomerate. And what that means is it gives us competition. It gives, within the entire structure, it gives competition and tries to push out the number of materials you can recycle and things like that. So if you've read the document, you'll see that this is this long-term contract. My questions now are more, We are also really unique, and I'm so grateful for South City Scavenger for being one of the first anaerobic digesting systems in the country. And they've gotten awards for that. And what that means is they take our food scraps. We were one of the cities, or with South City and Brisbane, to do food scraps. And they anaerobically digest it to get biomethane. Now, the state of California wants all the fleets to be electric. So my question number one is, what's going to happen to the existing anaerobic digestion facility? Can we have...
South City Scavenger
Yeah,
representative? Please, join us at the podium. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Duck Button.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Doug Button, President, South San Francisco Scavengers. So right now we're creating methane and it's carbon negative, negative 97.8 on the things. We're actually stripping carbon out of the air. But the digester basically makes methane and other gas, and that gets converted to fuel that we use in the trucks. In the future, we can put a genset on that and make electricity.
Okay, so we'll cogen it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It can also make hydrogen, and that's what we're really hoping for.
And there's been movement. The reason I bring that up is what's going to happen with that facility. And then we do have a legislative committee. We do have a lobbyist in Sacramento. And as you know, I was on the state commission for recycling market development. If we needed to go to our lobbyist and get South City Scavenger and any other company in the state that uses biodigested or biomethane, if we can extend that time, I want to make that offer to you, that we try to give us as much time so that you have the time you need to amortize the new electric fleets.
So the clean fleet rule that she's talking about, where we have to be electrified, there's 3 tiers in there. And we have to start with 10% of tier 1 by 27 and 25% by year 30, I think it is, or whatever. There's a whole schedule in there, but because we went there first, the Air Board has given us a little leeway. So we're there to amortize the cost and all of that.
Okay. Well, just know to come back and ask council if we need help through our new legislative process on that. The second part of that is looking at the capacity. Can you go into a little more detail? Again, for the public, South City Scavenger, unlike some of the other garbage companies, does not have its own landfill. And that drives a different set of dynamics. So where is this other capacity and how far out of county is it?
Well, it depends on what it is. Everything's organic, right? And so wood waste versus food waste. Food waste is done on site. Wood waste, some of it goes all the way to Chowchilla, Madera area for biomass, and some of it goes to Napa and whatnot for composting and everything else. So there are different facilities, but the capacity issue is in 24, in August here, we had to have capacity through 24 to 34, okay? And then in 29, it goes, we're required to show again capacity till 2039. And then in 2034, we have to show it to 2049. And this is a mandate by the state, along with the mandates about zero emission vehicles and everything else, and changing every bin to be color-coded or standardized in the
If
state.
we standardize the colors.
And all of that is an investment.
Okay. So again, in terms of what's outlined in the staff report, I support that. I do think there are other actions the city needs to take. I believe that we, the city of Millbrae, and probably in partnership with South City and Brisbane, should write immediately to the county where there's a lot of county unincorporated land on coast side. And we really, it's decades overdue in having a windrow operation of some kind. The other thing that I see, we have a lot of house remodels here with independent debris box services, and I'm guessing most of that is being landfilled. Maybe it's being picked up at Ox Mountain, but I think we need to make sure we've got construction material, clean wood waste on that, so we're not sending it down to Coachella. For the public, that means we're running these big trucks, even if they're electric, they're giving off broken rubber in their tires. And one of the biggest sources of microplastics in the ocean are tire rubber, or rubber from tires on that. So we really need to keep things as close to that. So it's not really part of this contract, but when we're talking about capacity, and when I was our representative for the integrated waste management plan that the county has to do for disposal, I tried to push then that we get our own composting operation here in the county, and that would let us keep a lot more in county than sending it over bridges or anywhere on that. But that's a separate action. I recognize that. So with that, what were my others? I'm glad we're not losing biodiesel. I am hopeful that the city will do a little bit more carbon farming. So you talked about the 4 times the compost giveaways for the public, great. But I'm wondering if we can be also getting some of that carbon back into the city parks on that. And I don't know if that's something, could you guys look at that when you bring it back for the contract? Whether that's something we can do. We've got an awful lot of open space here. We should be carbon farming. And we would get credit for it in our climate action plan on that. The standardized colors, this was something the commission I served on did. We standardized the colors across the state so that when you move from city to city, blue will always mean the same thing, green will always mean the same thing. And I did read the staff report, and a lot of our compost bins still don't have labels. Andrea gave me a label, so mine does. But can we speed up the labeling of especially the green waste bin on that? For residents, well, I have, this is my last idea. If you, and I don't, a lot of this is, we also approved tonight an extension of the Downtown Business Improvement District. And to me, the alleyway on the 400 block of Broadway, the odd numbers on the 400 block of Broadway have no alley. So they put their garbage out on the street, and it makes us look like New York. And especially in front of Dean's Produce, it makes the sidewalk look really horrible. So I don't know if there's a way that we could be ahead of the BID, and maybe it's not the first year of the contract, but it's the second year. We come up with a better way and maybe shared garbage enclosures for the merchants, both on the other side where there's some space in city parking lots, but definitely on that 400 block. And it's, it's Dean's Produce and those other shops. They just don't have any place to put their garbage because there's no alley in the back. So if we could look at that in the next contract too, it would tie in really well with Business Improvement District because frankly, our alleys look horrible. Our alley looks horrible on that. And that's the only other thing I'd like to see. One last thing in the contract. The last thing in my last 2 months, and I've been talking about this for 9 years, is we have a lot of open space, most likely owned by SFPUC, but because we don't have GIS software, it's more difficult to get that data. We don't know if SFPUC has ever cleaned out the canyons, and we have a lot of homes in Bob's District 4. I'm not gonna try practicing your last name yet, sorry about that. District 4 has an awful lot of houses that back up into the canyons that are and they're all now a wildland urban interface and are at high risk of fires. And I have long wanted to get into those canyons and see how clean they are. Just get rid of the deadwood and any, excess vegetation on that. So in the contract, it does say that we've got some additional debris boxes that can be dropped. I'm wondering if we can have some specifically set aside for, it's really climate resiliency work. It is cleaning out those canyons, in this case for fire, whether it started by lightning, human, or an earthquake, that we work on that. And maybe see what we can negotiate in terms of a few more debris boxes. I grew up here, Doug, you grew up here. Well, you didn't, but we've known each other since we were kids. So to my knowledge, we've never cleaned the canyons, and that scares me. So I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, do you have anything? Okay, our new council members? On a moment. Any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
First day or
Councilmember
first
Nguyen.
night on the job, so sorry if I repeat stuff that you covered stuff before, but one thing that caught my attention was capacity. Maybe just to educate me and possibly people in the public, what is causing that capacity, like, I'm not sure if I'm using the right word, overrun or like filling up, whatever we want to call it. What's the cause of that? And do you guys have plans to address that, like for the next couple of years?
Yeah, no, thank you for your question. So the state of California has mandated, boy, I'm really tongue-tied tonight. The state has mandated through SB 1383 that the city must require every resident and business to compost. So they have to sort all their organic material. And so, and when all that organic material has been sorted, it also needs to be recycled. So there's an increase in the amount of organic material that needs to be recycled now that it's mandated. There are just more businesses that are going to be composting, so we're going to collect more organic material. So then the state says, okay, now that you're going to be collecting more material, please prove that you have the capacity to recycle that material. So do you have the facility to recycle it?
So if I understand that correctly, it is your throughput, right? Not necessarily like filling up a physical piece of land or something like that. Is that, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That was just my clarification.
That's correct.
Thanks.
And the state wants every jurisdiction to show that they have enough, facilities to recycle this organic material. The current period is through 2034.
So in a situation where you cannot meet that capacity, right, what are the outcomes, things that can happen if we don't plan for that?
Yeah, so the state has cities make an implementation plan. They have to actually show how they will get new contracts with other recycling facilities, how they will meet that capacity. It's not optional. They just have to come up with a plan of how they're going to do it. Unless, Doug, do you have anything to?
I'll just add. So in the state of California, there's about 40 million tons of organic material still going into landfills. That's been outlawed now. So you have to recycle it. And as she says, it's based on a formula. Millbrae in 2022 had a shortfall of what they estimated of 4,600 tons, 4,631 tons based on population and demographics and all this other stuff. Well, you got to show where it's going. It's got to go to compost. It's got to go to make biofuel as we're using it. It's got to go to biomass. It's got to go wood chips, whatever, but not in a landfill. And 1383 also requires that we and the city partner together to go out and lid flip and open the actual garbage cans and make sure that people have removed the organics and put them into the organic bins. And it wasn't just residential, they went to the commercial and all the way through. It's, as we said, it makes methane, right? Organic waste, when it decomposes, make methane. That's one of the biggest global warmers out there. And so the idea is to remove it from global warming.
So in this situation, what I'm hearing is that we're trying to recover as much as we can, right? Like the byproducts of this waste, for example, methane, as you mentioned. I'm just on board myself, so forgive me if I'm repeating things, but you got that. Is there a portion of unrecoverable waste, and then what happens to that when you can't recover it?
The unrecoverable waste, which is, and I'm not blaming the plastic industry, but it's mainly plastics, is being landfilled. And there's other bills out there. All of this stuff started in 1989 with AB 939. So we had no place to put garbage, so you needed to start recycling. And we started curbside recycling, and that morphed into commercial recycling, then organic recycling, then mandatory commercial organic recycling. And now there's AB 54, which is like, let's quit fooling ourselves about what we're doing with all these plastics that have a symbol on them and they're really not very recyclable, that either you show there's a market for them 100% or you're going to have to eliminate them. That's going to change everything, and it's going to require us to even do more sorting and more sales and everything else.
No, I just think that this is just me being a resident, and how much plastic eventually ends up in the landfill, right? I think it's like, or just any waste is the ultimate measure of how well you can recover material, recycle, compost, what have you. So yeah, that's just like the base of my question is that what's the percentage and plans to deal with?
It depends. So the most widely recycled plastic is a PET bottle that you buy water in. That you have a thing here, you don't even want those because I don't blame you. But the reason they're recycled, because there's a CRV value, California refund value on them. The same product made into like a clamshell is a contaminant in a bale of plastic because there's no value to the buyer. Yet he buys the ones that have a value to him. So, I mean,
Is it because the plastic? Well, no, the plastic itself is recyclable, but they don't want it. And that's the bigger issue. We have a lot of stuff that nobody really wants.
Great, thank you.
Go ahead, Councilman Nguyen.
Just to help you, the emphasis on organics is landfills were number 3 major source of methane. Now it flips between cows and the melting of the turf. I'm forgetting my words, up in Alaska. So it is one of the few things we can do as human beings to stop that. And that's why if your rates go up, this is critical, because methane is that much more damaging than carbon dioxide. And that's the emphasis on this. And I'm happy to sit with you and explain to you how most plastics, being that each plastic has a different makeup and melts at different things and does different things, how bad they are, which is SB 54.
All right, any further comment, questions from this council? We'll take a motion to accept the report, and I'm sure we will be hearing more from our scavenger partners moving forward here. I think we have another year to make a decision.
Mr. Mayor, do you want to take public comment first?
Okay, is there a public comment on this item? I don't see any hand raised online. I don't have any slips.
That's correct, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Vice Mayor Pappen?
Move approval?
Okay. To accept the report?
Yes.
Correct. Do we have a second?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we have a second from Councilmember Nguyen. Can we call for the vote?
Councilmember Nguyen,
Yes.
Councilmember Riley,
Yes.
Councilmember Snyder,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pappen,
Yes.
Mayor Fung.
Aye.
Item number 9 passed by a vote of 5-0.
Okay, thank you so much. And council comment. Does anybody want to begin? Councilwoman Ann Schneider.
At the last council meeting, I requested, and Vice Mayor Pappen agreed to bring the discussion of district elections. And it's not the legal opinion. It is not the issue of legal opinion. It is the issue of what to do with Millbrae and districts. I actually made that request several months ago, and then I made that request in February. And the mayor has ensured that it does not show up on council agenda. So I am again formally asking. Now, I did talk to the city attorney about this last Friday, and there were recommendations. I don't want to speak for the city attorney, but what are the recommendations when a council member, especially when it's been agreed by a second council member, how do we get these things onto city council agenda? Please.
So, Madam Council Member and members of the City Council, I did have a conversation with Councilmember Snyder on Friday. She called me to ask me about the procedure.
You called me, but okay.
You sent me, I'm sorry, you're correct. You had sent me some emails and I called you rather than us have emails going back and forth. I ultimately just called you so we could discuss the issue as opposed to sending emails back and forth. As the council knows, this matter is governed under the protocols for the City Council. The Millbrae Municipal Code provides for the City Council to create its own protocols that govern the procedures of the City Council. The City Council last updated their protocols in 2015. Councilmember Schneider is correct that upon request by a council member to the mayor to agendize an item, the code or the protocols say that the item should be agendized within 2 months or 60 days, I believe it says. However, the protocols are merely guidelines for the council to follow, and there is no enforcement mechanism under state law or the municipal code. As I also said, no member of the staff can enforce the protocols. The protocols are merely guidelines to allow a smooth operation of the city council. And the protocols are very clear in terms of, there are actions such as, censure that the council can take if they feel that another member of the council member is not abiding by the protocols. But again, a censure, and this is well documented in case law, has no legal effect other than to help the council guide their process. So, Councilmember Schneider, I referred you back to the protocols, but absent, well, the protocols are what the protocols are, but this is something that all councils, I've seen many councils do this from other clients. Protocols govern behavior between council members, but it really is something that the 5 of you need to work on amongst yourselves. There's nothing staff can do to mandate that any action be taken for violation of protocols.
The difficulty when we were a council of three is there was nobody else to talk to about this. So that is different now. Last year, this becomes a discussion. I am again asking for districts, the discussion of districts for the well-being of Millbrae, not the legal opinion. I've already read what our previous attorney did. I've already read what Mr. Lim has done. It is to bring it forward for discussion and potential action, and to do it while myself and the vice mayor are still on city council. And I believe that I have waited 7 months for that, and I am past wanting to wait.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comment? Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
I will agree with the council member. An item like this, we've heard from the public, should be agendized. So I don't know how we can get much more formal than that in council comments in particular. So hopefully we will see that soon. Additional council comments here. We have a Metropolitan Transportation Commission meeting tomorrow. The topics are still, primary topic is whether they will proceed with a funding source for transportation. And 27 different transportation agencies, several of whom are going over financial cliff. Stay tuned. San Mateo County is being very, doesn't appear to be getting a fair share, so we may not be participating, but we do believe in public transportation and we'll move forward with our stakeholders as this goes on here. Thank you for the council for putting the service dog resolution on. Hopefully we can add that in the future. It was very nice to have, what's his name? Ben, thank you, Ben join us, and it's nice to see a smile on everybody's face when he's around, or his siblings, or Teddy and all of that. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor. City Attorney, if I'm not mistaken, I believe after the last council meeting, I have directed the city manager as well as you, the city attorney, to look into the reviewing the former city attorney's memo to us, and to re-examine the legality of district election versus at-large elections versus, recreating for district versus at-large mayor, and to provide us with a legal opinion and to validate the previous legal analysis rendered by Henson Bridget. And I believe we did that immediately. And after the last meeting, perhaps at some point, when you think timing is proper to provide those updates, then we can bring it back to the council for a briefing so that the public as well as the council members are aware that this is in the work and that this is more than just a policy question as much as we are legally bounded, as you pointed out quite some time ago early in this meeting, that we're a general law city, that everything that we do must adhere by California law, which CDRA is a part of. So I think it would be appropriate at some point that we bring back this briefing so that everybody is on the same page as to where we are on this discussion.
Respectfully, Mr. Mayor, that's not
Yes.
what we're asking for.
I understand.
No, you're not, because what you asked staff to do is not what we're asking for.
Okay.
So to be clear here, we understand what the law is.
Okay.
What we're asking for is that the body take up a discussion on doing away with districts, if I'm correct. And Councilmember Schneider is noting that, and bringing in the public to hear their opinions on that as well, and also mayor at large. So we understand the legality. We don't need to reiterate that. But as a general law city, a council can, in the future, after giving the public an opportunity to speak, they can bring that, this council can bring that up. So no, we are not looking at 4 districts and a mayor. That is illegal at this point in time. So no, we don't need an opinion on that. We know what the law is. I believe Councilmember Schneider, and I'm not trying to speak for her, please correct me if I'm wrong, would like to have on the agenda a discussion so that the public can be a part of completely doing away with districts in the future and the possibility of a mayor at large. I'm sorry, go right ahead, Councilmember. Sorry.
No, Vice Mayor, you're spot on. I have been asking for this agenda item, as I said, since February, and to look at how CVRA has rolled out and what the impact has been in terms of having actual elections versus appointments, having competitive elections versus a single candidate for a seat, and what is that really doing to the voice of the voter on that. And if our senators and assembly are hesitant to take this on, which I personally believe CVRA needs to be modified, if and nothing else, to reflect socioeconomics as a barrier to running for office, then they need to hear from us about what it's like on the street. And if you look at the elections in this cycle, see, I'm breaking the rules. We just need to be able to talk about this. We need to be able to talk about it in a formalized agenda, and our protocols should not be something that somebody who wants to act as a strong mayor simply ignores on that. It took 6 months to get the tree ordinance back. When a council member asked for something, when I was mayor and Councilman Fung asked for something, I put it on as quickly as staff could prepare the staff report. This is enough with the delays. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I will be clear on the record that this is a repeated request that we had previously agendized. There was a discussion on this, I believe, sometime around maybe May or June, and legal opinions were rendered, and you can certainly bring that up again, and I'll be more than happy to agendize this item as quickly as possible again. I want to be completely transparent with all of you and as well as the public here. But we also need to be mindful of the legality surrounding CVRA and what can or cannot be done. And I think we need to be mindful about that too. So be there as it may, I will discuss this with the staff to the extent that as quickly as possibly can, have this properly agendized so that the proper discussion can take place at this very chamber. And thank you very much for the reminder. Any other comment from any other council members? Okay. Without any further ado, I adjourn this meeting tonight at 10:26 p.m. Thank you all.